Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Big 12 is a vicious, when I say vicious, conference, and we knew that Iowa State is never going to back down, so we wanted to just come out there and rally back, and it was an exciting game.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Really excited to win, really excited to be back, and obviously does 3 weeks affect your play 100%, but at the same time I think Iowa State deserves a lot of credit.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Well, I don't think we have them under us yet. It'll take a couple more days of practice. Hopefully it doesn't take a couple more games. But
call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
So we've just prepared in a different way. We knew that was going to be a tough battle, and Iowa State can beat anybody. I don't care. I don't even look at their record because I know they can beat. You see in the first half how great they is. Like, they're a good team. They can beat you. So
now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
It was hard at times to watch. Baylor, number 2 team in the country, gets to 18-0 for the first time ever. That's a school record. It was hard to watch because we had seen how good and how smooth and how dominant they had been up until the 21-day pause. And I have to admit, there were times last night when I thought, okay, when they made the run throughout most of the second half to get it down to 1-2 and had 6, 8, 10 possessions, and they just couldn't get over the hump, and then Iowa State's back up 7. You wonder if they've run out of gas, but they found a way, 18-0, and now they have Kansas on the road where they can have a chance to clinch the Big 12 title. Good afternoon, SicEm365 Radio. Paul Catalina to my left, Craig Smoak to my right, David Smoak, Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. We're going to hear, in fact, I had a chance to visit with Scott Drew earlier today, and former Baylor assistant coach Paul Mills at Oral Roberts will join us. Guys, your thoughts? They won. And on the same night they won, UT beat Kansas, and Oklahoma was beaten somehow by Kansas State.
Yeah, that second one that you just mentioned was way more surprising to me. But I got to say, I didn't get worried at all until it was about 5 minutes left, and Iowa State was still, kind of coming back and leading. Baylor had finally taken the lead, but Iowa State would come back. And I thought, well, maybe they just don't have the gas to get this done today, and that's perfectly fine given what happened. But I still, it just goes back to how talented this team is that, minus their Energizer Bunny and Everyday John, 3 weeks not playing, 2 days of practice, not in shape, some of them still probably feeling the effects of the virus. All of those things that happened, they still managed to win this game. In the last minute and a half, they were in control, which is what you want.
Yeah, it wasn't the prettiest outcome, but I would much rather be sitting here today talking about a win than talking about a loss. So I don't care how it got done. You're 18-0. You're not 17-1. So it really doesn't matter how it looked. Now, does it matter from the standpoint of now what they look like the rest of the way? Yeah, a little bit, because you saw just how rusty they were, and you wonder how long it's going to take for them to get their legs back, because had they played just about anybody else last night, they probably lose. I mean, if they play Kansas or Oklahoma or Texas or, a team like that, they probably lose last night. West Virginia, I think, would definitely have been a loss last night. So I think they lucked out in a way by who they played, but they're not going to have much time to turn around. So enjoy this one for all that you can, but know that it's going to get much tougher from here on out. So hopefully they got the rust knocked off a little bit, but it's going to take them time, clearly, to get back into the groove that they were in. And yeah, Everyday John not being in the lineup, I mean, that was almost a killer for them. You kind of felt like they lucked out again with the announcement before the game of who all was going to be missing, because you thought, like, it could be any number of guys. It could have been like 4 starters for all we knew, but it just turned out really, in the grand scheme, to be Everyday John. But in the end, that ended up being a really big missing piece in the middle there for them that nearly lost them that game.
They couldn't protect the rim.
No, at all. So, Iowa State was feasting down low. And so, just a really gritty, gutty, I'm tiring, but exciting win to go ahead and get that W.
We have some of you who have already come in on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine Hotline, the text line. We'll have that. Also, the number 254-339-1122. That's open. And both Scotty and then the 248, both of them. In fact, the 248, just win, baby, just keep winning. But what if opponents start to cancel? Which, of course, is always the yes, but. You can't do anything about it. And I asked Scott Drew at the end of the interview today, I said, listen, he's a glass half full. Hell, he's a glass full, no matter what. But I asked, I said, have there been any times in which you thought, why us? The end of last year, 24-3, and a team that was good enough to perhaps win it all. 17-0, and then here comes COVID. And of course, he gave the answer that you would expect. But he admitted that there have been times when you wonder, you're a little bit frustrated. Daniel said Baylor's damn lucky to have played Iowa State. Agree 100% with Craig. West Virginia would have smashed them. West Virginia, speaking of that, I got a fan that came on. I said, I don't care what the record is. In the case of where they were, 21 days, you could tell they didn't have their legs, missing a rim protector, which killed them almost throughout the night, almost cost them the game. And then a West Virginia fan comes in, and I laugh out loud. I do when it's just a team with 2 wins. So I looked up West Virginia. They've played Iowa State twice. They won by 3 and 4, or 3 and 5 points. or 4 and 5 points. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Last night, Kansas had Texas in trouble at one point, up 10, 12, 15 points, couldn't hold on. And of course, Oklahoma, Kansas State. That's why you play the game, right? So we're going to hear from Adam Flagler, Mark Vidal, Scott Drew, and many, many others here today on the show. Tomorrow, King McClure is going to join us because he's doing a game this afternoon. He's normally with us Wednesdays. He'll be with us tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
I guarantee that guy didn't really laugh out loud. Like, I think the most smart-ass opinions on Twitter is always followed by, like, LOL, and that's when you know the person's just being a jerk, quite frankly, and it's really not that funny because it's not that funny.
It's fun, though, when you have someone like that, and then you can throw up evidence that you're laughing at a team that just won by 5.
Well, it's going to be, save his name for when they play. Because, I doubt he's going to be laughing if Baylor beats them. Who knows how that game's going to turn out? Who cares about that fan? Quite frankly, they won last night, and there would have been a lot of laughs had they not. And they lost to a two-win team, but they didn't. They won again, and that's why people are laughing. It's nervous laughter because they're like, oh, crap, they won again, and we thought that this was going to be the night they were going to go down.
And they're one game away from clinching the conference.
Listen, they got to get over in the next 2 or 3 days. They went in Lawrence, and then you're 11-0. Plus, you beat another team that is a team that has been dominating the Big 12 for the most part forever, other than maybe a year or two. And again, team that caught you last year when you were really, really good and won the Big 12 title. So Baylor's 10-0, West Virginia's 9-4, Kansas 11-6. And then Oklahoma, Texas. Oklahoma State had a nice win, of course, Sunday or whatever it was, Monday, against Texas Tech. Baylor, Kansas, Saturday. UT plays at Texas Tech Saturday. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State Saturday. So you have 6 of the teams that will be in the tournament playing each other. And then West Virginia has a game at home against Kansas State. So there's where we are. We have calls, text, everything. Our setup of the lineup today. We're going to hear again from players and coaches from last night, but also want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about the win? Your thoughts going forward as well. And then Ross Dellinger, who covers college football for Sports Illustrated. He was at that Deion Sanders debut at Jackson State's game. He'll join us at 3:30. Paul Mills, the head coach at Oral Roberts, one of the longtime assistant coaches, 14 years at Baylor, at 3:45. Then Scott Drew. And later on today, of course, we'll hear from many others who will be a part of today's show. Excited about tomorrow. Jeff Goodman. Also, Joel Corey, who's an NFL former agent, also a guy that breaks down the cap, talking about Dak at 3:30, and then King McClure tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Paul?
Let's go to the Impact Health Labs caller line. T-Rex, you're on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great.
Good to hear, as always, because it's the best radio show in the nation, so you got to be doing good.
Thank you.
So real quick, recap of that game. Was able to make it down. I wasn't surprised by our performance given everything around it. I think it's obvious that we just got to get our legs under ourselves. The team showed that they're willing to win and do whatever it takes, make adjustments, doesn't matter, like they've done all year. Of course, I would rather have a 30-point win against any opponent, but, hey, I'll take a 5-point win. Doesn't matter. Any fans from opposing fan bases, like you said, they don't matter. And, the only difference between a 5-point win and a 20-point win is about 2 hours after the game. Because I woke up this morning, all I remember is that we beat Iowa State and we're undefeated. It doesn't matter what we won by. And we play Kansas. It's the next game, and all that matters is that you win by at least 1 point. I saw Kansas fans saying, how is Baylor undefeated? Well, I retweeted them and made it very clear. When you score more points than your opposing team, you don't lose games. So if anybody's got a question as to why Baylor's undefeated, it's because we score more points than the people we play. And that's all that matters. You win by 1, then you win the game, So great game. We got the win. We got the rust knocked off, hopefully a percentage.
About what Saturday, I don't know what kind of trophy present.
Know how grand that would even be, or how much of a presentation or anything that would even really be. So I don't know. I'm curious about that. I hope they, just get to that point on Saturday to where they do clinch it, and so therefore we can have a fun conversation about what they might do. But till they win that next game, I'm not doubting it. I'm not nervous about it, but I am just waiting for them to win that game before I start worrying too much about how, the trophy's going to get in their hands.
Bottom line, just keep winning, take care of business, get on with it. Also, this is from Scotty. I knew how good Tyler Harris was. I just had a commercial interrupt our conversation. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I knew how good Tyler Harris could be because he was a beast in high school. Baylor was trying to get him. He went to Memphis, and then when he went from Memphis, he went to Iowa State. It's the same offseason when Baylor was picking up Maceo Teague and Davion Mitchell. In fact, Scott Drew and I talked a little bit about this earlier today, that they wanted Tyler Harris. He picked Memphis. And then by the time he was open and in being recruitable again the second time, their cupboard was filled. And so, yes, he's an electric, lightning quick guard, and they had troubles with him. And you wonder if sometimes the Baylor guards, not being 100% with their conditioning and their legs, he was just too quick for them. And then especially when you have nobody at the rim to help out. Flo Thamba was there a little bit, but didn't play. It wasn't much of a factor in that game. JTT would have been there. Mark Vidal eventually was there when it didn't seem to be Mark Vidal. And then that night he exploded against Kansas. He is really feeling good about everything. But again, every day is a challenge. This is Mark Vidal. He had answered a bunch of questions. He seemed to be as upbeat as you could possibly be, yet he also admitted at the end of the game he couldn't look left or right in the locker room, or he was looking down because he was out of gas. And Scott Drew said if the game had gone overtime, he's not sure Vidal had anything left. Here is Mark Vidal. A couple of questions I had for him in the post game near the end.
Mark, you seem to be about as wired up as you could possibly be right now. How much of that is adrenaline still, or how much of that is just be relieved to see this game is over and you won?
That's just me. That's just how I am, man. I'm an energy man. That's just me. As you can see, I'm jiggers now. Like, I can play another half. I'm just a guy that likes to keep the energy, keeping guys happy. You got to be a happy person to keep other guys happy. And like right now, we got a shirt right now that say mental health awareness. And so a lot of stuff you got to really pay attention to. Like, you never know what's going on with other people. You always got to check on your people, so you never know what's going on. So I try to be that guy to keep everybody happy, because you never know how people's days go. Even sometimes with me, you got to keep everything going. So everybody deal with demons, everybody do everything, but you got to try to keep everybody happy. And that's what I try to do, bring happiness to everybody.
Speaking of that, then how proud are you when you look to your left and right or in front of you in that locker room and realize what you guys accomplished tonight?
Everybody was so happy, man, and I was tired, so I really didn't look left from right. I was looking down. But everybody was happy, though, man, including Coach Drew. So it's joy. Like they say, it's joy. They preach it a lot. And like I say, everybody needs to shine light on mental health. Like everybody deal with something, including myself. So everybody needs to deal with it.
All right, that's Mark Vidal. I think he was excited because they got through the moment, the resiliency. Iowa State really played very well. It's unfortunate. There's a reason why they're 0-14 in the conference, is because they can't close out games. They've had a few others they couldn't do it. The Oklahoma loss to Kansas State last night was that's an eye-opener. You could have had Iowa State and Kansas State both winning on the same night against really good teams, top 10 teams, and it didn't happen. It did happen with one of the other games. Now, Adam Flagler, guys, they needed somebody to pop, because the Baylor guards, they couldn't penetrate. They could get about halfway between near the free throw line, but they just couldn't dribble, drive, penetrate. They just didn't have enough. And then Iowa State's got some guys underneath that are very athletic. And finally, they just kept doing that, right? They just almost like knocking your head against the wall, and eventually started to get to the free throw line. Missed a few of those, but it seemed like that eventually got other things open. They didn't stop.
Yeah, Davion Mitchell early in the game cut right to the basket, and I thought, oh, all right, well. And then after that, it was kind of just kind of a mess for the whole first half until the end of the first half. They cut it down to 5 or 7 or what it was going into halftime. You kind of, okay, here they go. But yeah, they just didn't have it. I mean, and again, part of that getting the basket is that first step, which you don't really have when you're not in shape and you haven't played, and they eventually got it, just kept chopping wood.
They got it. They went to the free throw. They started to make some of them. They missed one or two, and that was getting a little bit frustrating. But Adam Flagler, what did he see? His team, he's the one that led the way, and he was the one that gave them the pick-me-up off the bench in his scoring.
Can you try to describe what you guys have been through? I know that you've been through a lot, but the last 3 weeks and what this like to win a game like this in a gutty way, even with Iowa State's record?
The best way I could kind of explain what was going on is we just had a lot of guys that were out on numerous reasons, and we just all weren't together. And spending time apart really makes it difficult to practice and do everything. So the coaching staff did a great job of keeping all of us that were available in shape and everything. But when the guys came back, they were excited, they were ready, and we were just able to kind of get back going, and we were just excited to win this game. We knew it was going to be a tough one.
Without just saying yes, because it's a bad question, it's a yes question, but are you relieved in a way? What does it mean, Joe mentioned this earlier, just to get this one out of the way?
I would say yes, we are relieved. We definitely wanted to come out and win this game with everything going on, COVID and everything. It's just a tough thing. So we were just excited to be back on that court. And
that's Adam Flagler. Man, he is
he's special. He's going to be a big player for them the next couple of years. That's for sure. When they lose a lot of talent after this season, that's going to be the guy that teams start gearing up for, starting next year. But what a nice complimentary piece. And complimentary is probably, downplaying it, but what a nice, I guess complimentary piece would have to go with because I can't think of anything else to the veterans that you have, right? I mean, just the combination of players they've been able to put together in this roster, the puzzle pieces and the way they all fit together and complement one another it's a really special group, obviously. And that's the special group that won that game last night because a lot of teams coming off the break that they had and being as tired as they appeared to be at times probably don't close that game out. And so there's another extra gear and another extra layer of just good to this Baylor team that they were able to fight and grab that one last night. But, yeah, he's definitely a star moving forward in the future and has shown big flashes this year.
254-339-1122. Kimberly, he showed a picture of the charms that arrived in the mail, the ones that we had from Boozer's Jewelers. Thanks for the heart charms. They made it through Snowmageddon 2021. I'll add them to my charm bracelet. Kim in Dallas, that was a part of what we did with Boozer's Jewelers during the shutdown. We appreciate that. Was it during or before?
It was right before.
Right before. Thank you to Brad Boozer and his great staff for that as well. 254-339-1122. That's the number to call.
I believe it was the show we did on studio on Wednesday before we...
Yeah, we were here, weren't we?
And then we weren't here for another week and a half or so.
Here's a note from Jared Burson on Twitter. Since the Big 12 formed 1996-97, 75 of the 76 current Power 5 and Big East basketball teams have lost 7 or more conference games at least 3 different times. The lone outlier, Kansas, which has never lost 7 games or more since 1996 or 97 in the conference, they have 6. They host Baylor Saturday.
And that's their last game of the regular season. So,
yeah, because they're 11-6, that would be the 18th game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever Kansas has done with COVID protocols, I don't know if it's location because they're kind of in a state where it's not highly populated and it's in the middle of the country. But the fact that they haven't missed any games, when everybody else has.
Kansas, Kansas State, and Oklahoma.
I mean, they're all right there together. So
35.
maybe it's that Midwest, in the middle of nowhere where they don't have to worry about it as much. I don't know, but kudos to them for having not had to have any cancellations or disruptions to their schedule. So, yeah, they'll wrap up, and then Baylor and others still have, 2-3 games left. So, huge game on Saturday. I would imagine the viewership's going to be pretty high, and there's going to be a lot of build-up for it because Kansas really has kind of made this even bigger because of the way they played as of late, even though they lost last night. Just the fact that they kind of ramped things back up, started to kind of, here they come. And so they're going to be a dangerous opponent on Saturday, and they definitely don't want to, have Baylor walk in and win a Big 12 title. So they'll be ready, I'm sure, especially coming off a loss.
Lady Bears, by the way, play tonight. They're at home against Oklahoma State. They've been on a nice run, 12-1 in the conference. That game is tonight at the Farrell Center. 7 o'clock is the tip. And also, our good friend Scotty just noticed that the ESPN or the NCAA will reveal the women's top 4 seeds again. The next time through will be sometime on Sunday. Baylor women tonight against Oklahoma State.
I guess it gets you excited, but it's also a little bit like, why?
Yeah, no, it was nice to see kind of where the landscape was. I would like to just see them do it this weekend, but then under normal circumstances, after this weekend would have been conference tournament time. So, yeah, just to kind of see where things are. See, the women have been shaken up a little bit, and I have the men as well, but I don't know how much it's going to affect the seedings. Baylor could lose a couple of games and remain the number 1 seed. Depends on of the games they have left. They could lose a couple more games. I saw that as well. Well, they'll lose 2 games. Okay, the seeding, they're a number 1 seed unless they just throw up on all over themselves in the next week and a half. When we come back, Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated. Anything else, Craig, you have on it?
No.
The fact that they won a game.
Well, yeah, I mean, the number 1 seed, how do you figure they're number 1 seed when they're like the 7th best team in the country right now?
He was talking about the men.
Oh, the men. Okay.
Yeah, no, the women.
The
women were a number 3 seed.
No, you brought up the women, so I thought you were talking about the women, and I was like, wait a second. No, they're not a number 1 seed.
Women have work to do to get into a number 2 seed. I think it's going to be almost nearly impossible. Not impossible, but I think that it would be hard for the women to get to the number 1 seed, even if they run the rest of the tape.
Yeah, even regionally, Texas A&M's in front of them. So,
but when you look at the women's rating, the data system, Texas A&M is way down.
Really?
Way down, but they've lost 1 time. I think they've lost a game.
They need help to get to a number 1 seed.
Yeah,
they need help, and that doesn't happen in women's college basketball.
It would have been nice to play that UConn game because that would have been a really nice game on their resume had they won that game.
If you look at the top 10 in women's basketball, 1 loss, 2 loss, 1 loss, 2 loss, 3 loss, 2 loss, 2 loss, 2 loss, 2 loss. So, there's not many losses that are going to suddenly creep up in any of these teams that are in front of them, most likely.
All right, next day, after the day when, of course, Tiger Woods had his accident, the only one that's a true fan on this set, wearing his Tiger Woods red Sunday final round color.
I wore black because I'm in.
It's
Wednesday.
He's fighting for it.
Not a mourning, but kind of, sort of.
Yeah, Craig's got a Tiger look on it. You're not even close.
I got the Nike right there.
I just wanted everyone to know that. That's again just a connection. Just help. He's okay. I did watch a little bit on and off coverage on the Golf Channel this morning. They replayed quite a bit, but the PGA Tour Commissioner Monahan, he almost choked up during an interview talking about Tiger, the impact as far as what he has on the PGA Tour and the kind of person that he's become, and the kids and all that kind of stuff as well.
So, what's the update on him?
He had surgery. He's got some really bad injuries.
Well, I saw Alex Smith comparisons for the injuries that he had. Who, by the way, I'm kind of pissed at. By the way, Alex Smith, ungrateful as hell quarterback, which maybe we can get into later, but. Yeah, I saw someone mention, and you know how information is these days. You have no idea what's true or not. You have to track it down. But somebody who I think would know had posted that, yeah, there were some comparisons being made to kind of what Alex Smith went through. So if that's the case, yeah, it's going to be a really long time before we see Tiger play golf again. And I'm just glad that he's okay. I'm even more, the number 1 thing I'm glad about is that he's okay. The second thing I'm the most relieved about is that there doesn't appear to be anything nefarious going on, because that was my worry yesterday, was pills or booze, because he did not look good this past weekend.
No.
He did not look good. And then this happens and you're like, man, what is going on? So I'm glad that does not appear to be the case. And whatever it was, dangerous roadway, or he was too tired, maybe still hungover, I don't know. That needs to get figured out. But
yeah, it was early in the morning and he was on his way to a photo shoot. And he may have not been paying attention, or he just kind of lost a little bit. Maybe something happened to the car.
Yeah.
Who knows? By the way, the Alex Smith story that came out was that the Redskins did not want him coming back.
Yeah.
They didn't see it. They didn't want me there, didn't want me to be a part of it, didn't want me to be on the team, the roster, didn't want me to give me a chance. Mind you, it was a whole new regime. They came in, I'm like the leftovers, I'm hurt, and I'm a liability. But they won the division because he came back.
They did. He's the reason they won the division.
And if they didn't want him, they wouldn't have played him.
Right. And, like, dude, you were not even expected to ever play football again. And they had just drafted a young quarterback. So forgive them for not, like, okay, Alex, we'll wait on you to, be ready for whenever you're – I mean, like, what were they supposed to do? No, they don't want a guy who may not be able to play football ever again. So, yeah, like, I think he's got a lot of sour grapes, and I don't understand it because he's – where else was he going to get an opportunity? I mean, even if it didn't happen the way that he thinks it should have happened or as quickly or whatever he's complaining about, you still got the opportunity to play. And, yeah, you helped the team, but, I mean, forgive them for maybe thinking you never were going to suit up again. Like,
don't again, it's one of those things where there's always something that has to come negative out of something that was so positive, the fact that he came back.
He's going to go hold water for Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer. That's what he's
By the way, the question from Bear, Michigan, I think it is that right? The question about Gonzaga, and I'd forgotten about this, Paul. How do I forget about it? Yes, Gonzaga had COVID because that's why the game with Baylor was shut down an hour before tip-off. We were at a playoff game up in Italy, right? When we come back, Ross Dellinger, college football in the spring or whatever this is. Also, later on, Paul Mills, Oral Roberts, Scott Drew. Chance to have a chance with him one-on-one earlier today. I think you'll enjoy that at 4 o'clock and more. SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. Man, everyone's starting to kind of get everything back to normal. They supply product for restaurants, local restaurants. They also supply what is a local restaurant, hometown atmosphere, kind of an old-fashioned restaurant, kind of a country store feel at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. You want steaks cut a certain way, they'll do it for you. You can either go online or you can call them, say what you want, then go pick it up. They also have a very nice supply of what you need when it comes to pork or poultry and seafood. Could be Norwegian salmon. It is as fresh as you could imagine. And then they even have a lobster tail tank if that's what you want. Of course, they had a lot of those for those who wanted to have lobster tails and steak. If you did for Valentine's Day, they had that special. Then there's a bakery to the right-hand side. When you walk through the front door, the bakery has bread, fresh baked bread every day, and also kolaches, along with other sweets and treats. But they have an enormous amount of seasonings and spices. I'm not sure if you've heard about Meat Church. It's a brand with numerous types of spices and rubs. They have Meat Chirp. Taylor Bryan of Baylor is the one that kind of turned me on to that. Plus, if you want saltine crackers, Rotel tomatoes, a can of that, or any kind of box dinner that you're going to make, like hamburger helper, pasta, chips, they can do that as well. Cold wine, cold beer. It is Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Care Drive in Waco.
1, 2. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. Keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Are you ready to save big on a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring? A car with superior craftsmanship and quality. During the President's Day event at Allen Samuels, save big and drive a new 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring with special values of $7,250 or 0% for 72 months and $2,000 in combo cash right now. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco to see the incredible 2020 Chrysler 300 Touring. It's the best President's Day event going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
By the way, Baylor running back or Baylor commit signee Jordan Jenkins of Lindale was just named the 4A, Class 4A TSWA Offensive Player of the Year. That was just released. I just posted it up on my Twitter account at David Smoak. We're joined by Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated. Ross, appreciate your time. What was it like to cover a college football game in February?
Well, yeah, it was pretty bizarre, given that the coach was Deion Sanders and Troy Aikman made a surprise appearance. It even added to the spectacle. But, you know, weather-wise, it was actually nice out. But Jackson was recovering from a pretty big winter storm that swept through the South. And so there was the stadium was quite literally melting. The ice from the upper deck was melting and running and pouring into the concourse. There was no running water at the stadiums. They had porta potties. So it was certainly things you don't see, obviously, in fall ball or even in the winter football or in the November football. You don't see very often. And then, like I said, you add in the celebrity of it all with Deion as the coach. And it was pretty much one of the, I guess, craziest game experiences of my career.
Deion Sanders' designs on coaching obviously, you know, started a little bigger than Jackson State, but is this going to work? I mean, I follow him on Instagram, so I see everything he does, and you know he's very invested in this. It seems like this is a good starting place for him.
Yeah, I mean, he interviewed with Florida State a couple years ago, and to have your first college head coaching job be at Florida State is, you know, a really first college coaching job, be it a Power 5 school, any Power 5 school, would be pose some problems, would be very difficult. And then he actually interviewed with Arkansas as well last year. So he was shooting very high, and I think he realized in those interviews, which I think some of them were more courtesy interviews, he realized he needs to go drop down a couple levels. So the SWAC is certainly an interesting place, and I think it probably is a kind of a good end for him to start his career and build up some cachet a little bit and his resume as a coach.
Do you feel like it's brought any jolts to the HBCU landscape? Do you feel like there's some momentum growing there with a move like Deion joining? I know there's a lot of talk, especially just the last year, of players going to HBCUs rather than the bigger schools. That's not realistic, but do you feel like there's at least some momentum for the historically black colleges and universities?
Well, it's giving Jackson State in the SWAC, in all of HBCUs, the attention and spotlight, notoriety. That's the biggest thing probably he can bring. And then he offers, because of that notoriety and because of that celebrity that he brings, that attracts players. And we saw him sign the best class in modern history of black college football this past cycle. And it was the best class in the FCS this year. I think it was better than about 2 or 3 dozen FBS classes, in fact. So you got about 8 transfers. The number 1 junior college player in the nation, stole away from Georgia. So clearly his notoriety is something that is not just bringing attention, but bringing players.
So, Ross, where are we now? The latest involving the NCAA, name, image, likeness. Where are we? The updates. I know you followed that along the way. How much closer are we to this happening?
Well, it's certainly going to happen, and there's kind of three paths to it happening. One path is the NCAA creating its own legislation, which it was supposed to vote on in January. It's now delayed, partly because of the Department of Justice issues with antitrust and part of the Alston case issues that's happening in the Supreme Court. So it's chosen to delay. I think by, I don't know, I would guess by June or so, it will make some kind of pass some kind of legislation governing NIL. That's one path, is the NCAA, which I think we're going to see. It's going to be moot, the NCAA's own legislation, because the other path is the states, and the states creating their own NIL laws. And about 13 or 14 states, I believe, have in some way passed laws. They're going through their system. I shouldn't say passed. 6 states have actually passed NIL laws, and have had them signed into law. And about 13 or 14 others have a bill moving through their legislative system. And there's another 20 or 30 that are exploring the issue. So we're on the path to having all these different state laws for governing NIL. And of course, the third path is Congress. The problem is I don't think Congress is going to be able to pass federal legislation governing NIL, in that way preempting the NCAA's own legislation in all these state laws, kind of having a universal law. That's what a lot of people want. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it in time before the state laws kick in, which is, of course, July 1.
Yeah, isn't Florida's kicks in? Is that the first one? Florida's and July 1st?
Yeah, right. Florida's is July 1. It's the only one of the books so far with the July 1 date, with the earliest date. However, there are plenty of others that are either amending, the ones that have already passed the law, either amending their date to match Florida's. California's doing the same. Or you've got some that are moving through state legislatures around the nation who have that July 1 date as well. So as many, I think, as 24 states, or a dozen states, could have a state law enacted by July 1. And I think as few as 5 or 6. So you could have somewhere between 5 and 15 state laws that take effect July 1.
For those who have been maybe hearing about legislation and all the talk that's been going on for the last couple of years, endorsements are a part of this, where athletes with certain measures in place would be able to be on a commercial or something like that. There's all the talk about the video game. Ross, like layman's terms, what is the biggest changes we would see with a lot of this legislation moving forward in the game of college football?
Well, most of it you're going to see tangible is going to be social media ads that players do. They're going to be endorsing businesses and products through social media ad. And depending on their stature, obviously Trevor Lawrence will be paid a little different for a social media ad than a backup left guard. It can produce some significant revenue for the top 1% of college athletes, and it can produce decent revenue for the top 50%. And maybe that's $500 or $1,000 for a social media post, all the way up to $10,000 for a social media post if you're somebody like Trevor Lawrence. That's where you're really going to see it. You might see some TV commercials, you might see some billboards, stuff like that, but the main thing is going to be social media.
You had Dave Aranda when he was at LSU, and obviously the first year at Baylor was not easy with what they dealt with. A lot of schools did, but it wasn't easy. He did not waste any time, as you know, Ross, changing the landscape of his offensive staff. He's just had to replace Brian Stewart as cornerbacks coach, and he did it with Kevin Curtis at SMU. What are your thoughts about him, and as he was able to make decisions quickly, not linger, and know where there was a problem and do something, or at least he hopes to attempt to do something about it?
Well, one thing I know about Dave, he's a very cerebral person, deep thinker, which many football coaches are not, but Dave certainly is, and I'm sure he sat down after the season and had a lot of thinking going on. That notebook of his, I'm sure, is full of ideas and plans, and like you mentioned, he put it to it. But yeah, they had a tough year. I know they had some close losses, and obviously COVID played a big factor in everybody's season, but especially theirs. I know they had a big issue with it, maybe more so than normal.
Thanks, you guys. Anything else? Ross, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Stay warm wherever you are, and enjoy. Stay safe as well.
All right, guys, thanks.
Thank you. That's Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated, SI.com, writes a lot of college football, was there for the Deion Sanders debut as they opened up with that win against a team that I'd never heard of. Was it Waters State? Never heard of them. Yeah. There was a Walters State that's a junior college. I thought maybe up in Illinois or Utah somewhere. I'm not sure about that. All right, coming up next, Paul Mills. So you have Driscoll at Northern Florida, McCaslin at North Texas, and Paul Mills at Oral Roberts. And there's a couple of others that have, I think, been a part of the Scott Drew coaching tree as he develops his own. We know that Jerome Tang's ready whenever at any time. Plus, there's a couple of others as well. So, had a chance to visit with Paul Mills. We'll have Paul Mills from Oral Roberts. They're 11-10 this year. They have played the number 2 non-conference schedule in America. 8-5 in the conference, the Summit League. We'll hear from him, and then also from Baylor head coach Scott Drew. This is SicEm365 Radio.
ImpactHealthLabs.com. Remember that website. If your company, church, business, school needs mass COVID testing, they will come to you. They'll do the test on site. You'll have the results in 24 hours. Cost is low to you because they accept most major forms of insurance. This is a company founded by 3 military-trained medical professionals. So efficiency is key to them. Speed, precision, all those things are important to them, and that's why they built Impact Health Labs, to get you the testing when you need it. Look, it's just something you need to know pretty quickly. Sometimes you get a COVID test, you don't find out for 4 or 5 days. You might already be sick. You go, yeah, I know, I've got COVID. Well, if you're not sick yet or you've been exposed and you want to know, you need it fast. That's what they can do for you. If you've had somebody get sick in your office, you need to get 15, 20, some odd employees or something tested. They will do that for you on site, on time, very precise and accurate. That's what they do at Impact Health Labs. Remember the website, ImpactHealthLabs.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love. Serve hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Oral Roberts head basketball coach Paul Mills with SicEm365 Radio, and we're getting close to the finish line. Paul, thanks for your time. How you been, man? It's been a strange, obviously long time with basketball, and in your season, you've got a couple of games left in the regular season. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Smokey, good to hear your voice. You do phenomenal work down there on behalf of not only schools, right? Not only Baylor and getting out the word, but on behalf of so many student athletes and things that come up during the life of sports and getting their stories out. But everything's great in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, you've it's been a year where you and I just discussed this a little bit before we started. The way the schedule came out, you're about to finish with Western Illinois, a couple of games back to back, and that's kind of how you've done that. A lot of conferences have done that. Do you feel like it's allowed you to kind of get as many games in as you can to play, whether it's South Dakota State, whoever, on the road, back to back, or at home?
Well, it has allowed us an opportunity to play games, especially you had the shorter window. You know, games didn't start until the day before Thanksgiving. And even though we're walking into the last two games before we go to our conference tournament, it does seem like a much shorter year. You know, at this particular point, you're just trying to play enough games. It takes 12 games to qualify for the NCAA tournament. And so I think most schools were just, man, can we get 12 under our belt? Because we didn't know that November the 25th, just what the circumstances would be, how many games would be canceled. I do think that it's a tribute to a number of 18 to 22-year-olds. You know, if you have 15 on your roster, well, the other team has 15 as well. So you're asking 30 young men between those ages to say, hey, listen, you need to kind of do the things that we're being asked to do in order to have a season. And even if you do those things, doesn't mean that you're not going to get COVID, but you just realize that if any one of these 30 ever test positive, that there's going to be cancellations. So when things started November the 25th, you just didn't know. And I think a lot of coaches got relieved once they hit that 12-game threshold, because they said, hey, you know, because every school's fighting for the same thing, and that's the NCAA tournament. So to have that opportunity 12 games in, you feel very fortunate and blessed.
Where are you as a team? I know you've lost a couple of games, but you know, you're 11-10 overall. You're just above 500 in the conference. Where do you feel like you are right now as far as with the 2 games to go?
Sure. We've actually played the 4th toughest schedule in the country, and in our non-conference, and ended up losing at Oklahoma State by 5. Ended up losing to Wichita State, and I think that one was 3, and ended up losing to Arkansas after having a 10-point lead at the half by a couple of possessions. And so, having played Oklahoma, having played Missouri, I think we played 4 of the 5 non-conference games we played. They're all teams that are currently ranked. And so we've had a top 5 non-conference schedule. And so you knew that we would be good going into the conference. Right now, we can actually finish anywhere between 1st and 4th in our league going into these last 2 games. And so, I mean, we're like everybody else when you're in your conference. You're trying to win a conference championship, and we have an opportunity to be able to do that. And that's what you want. You know, you want to put your guys in a position to get the best seeding possible for your conference tournament. So, feel very good about where we're at.
You obviously, when you took that job, you knew it would take some work, and it was not going to be easy. Do you feel like you're starting to turn the corner a little bit? Do you feel like that maybe now that you've been through the rotation of players, and of course with the transfer portal, everything changes, do you feel like you're kind of getting close to what you want?
Yeah, I mean, the goal obviously is to win conference championships. In my first year here, we were predicted to be last in our league. Second year, 6th. Last year, 3rd. This year, we were predicted to be 2nd. And so, as I share with people, when you get on an elevator, they don't get to the penthouse immediately. There's levels to this. And again, I haven't spent 1/3 of my life at Baylor University, where my second year there, we won 1 game the entire conference season. We were 1-16, and then my last year there, in 2017, we were number 1 in the country. Like you kind of understand how this whole pendulum swings and what it takes. And so, I remember reading an article on Zoom earlier this summer that says Zoom, the overnight success that was 12 years in the making, and you just realize that's kind of the way this stuff works. We wish it was just add water and it happened, but you just need to make sure that your destination is always in mind, and the direction that you're headed, you're constantly cognizant of it, and if you're headed in the right direction. And I feel that way about where we're at ORU.
How important is it then this weekend, obviously, to close out the regular season? You've had those losses, a couple of them, but then you had the game with South Dakota that was canceled. To just get back to winning before you get that tournament started, that first March the 6th to the Summit League Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. Obviously, you need to win home games. We actually had the 5th longest home winning streak in the country. That was broken earlier this year, and we were just, we weren't happy about it. And so to get a chance to come back home and to get a chance to honor your seniors, whatever seniors look like now. Fortunately, the NCAA has given them a year back, but a chance to honor some wonderful young men, and at the same time be on your own home court. It's important that you make sure that we approach this right and hopefully end up on the right side of this.
You could have easily just stayed where you were. The comfort of a program that was at the beginning of a tremendous, not at the beginning, in a nice, comfortable run at Baylor. But Scott's had guys move on, whether it's been Driscoll or you or others, Grant McCaslin. What's it like to, when you get that opportunity, and you've been a head coach before, to have that opportunity and then it's your program?
Yeah, I mean, and you learn so many lessons just from being at Baylor and under Scott and working with Scott and Jerome and Matt Driscoll and Grant McCaslin and Alvin Brooks. John Jacobs was even there when I was there. And so I think you just take away all those valuable lessons that come with that. And again, what you realize is as you're moving forward and as you're doing things kind of the way you kind of envision it, you realize just how many people that it takes. And I tell you, for instance, Baylor is number 1 in the country at shooting the 3 ball. And I was talking to Scott, we're actually number 1 in the country at making them per game. We make 12 threes per game. They're number 1 from a percentage standpoint at shooting them. And I told Scott, you know why we're good at shooting the ball? It's our graduate assistants. I mean, we have guys who are pouring in time and investing in our players that nobody may ever know their names or understand, but you as a staff and you as coaches understand the job that they do. And so one of the things you take away from that I took away from my experience at Baylor is everybody is valued, and that's the way it was under Scott. Everybody was valued, and regardless of where you ranked on a depth chart or where you were in quote unquote on the hierarchy of a coaching staff. And then number 2, everybody has a part to play. And so let's play it well. And so the respect that's given amongst everybody, and then let's play our part really well, those were valuable lessons. And I see it incorporated still with Baylor. But to watch all of those guys, that people will never understand just all the things that happen behind the scenes in order to make basketball players really good, and they should be in the limelight. But to know that, hey, we're here to serve, we're here to help, and the more we're here to help and the more we're here to serve, it's going to honor what it is that we're trying to do, the bigger vision here. And so from that context, it's been really important that you have the people behind the scenes who can constantly push your program forward and that's done by helping your players.
It's interesting you share that, because I had a text today from Jerome Tang who said hi. I know you guys are incredibly close, and I said, hey, tell me about Scott and what was the most impressive thing he did during the shutdown, because they've been on a 21-day pause, which, as you know, they played last night. And we could have talked about it, and Jerome goes that he and Kelly, his wife Kelly, made sure they found hotel rooms, food, delivered things to all of the staff who may not have had power. And then, you think about him, and a lot of people, that doesn't surprise you at all, does it? We didn't talk about basketball. We talked about how he was making sure, whether it was Jerome and his family or whoever that didn't have power or electricity, or that's the same thing, that food, that they were out running around making sure that they were fine as players or coaches, and not so much worried about whether they're going to play another game.
Definitely, it's who he is. Scott is very mindful about how can we help others. I mean, you realize, I remember Dr. Garland, the previous president at Baylor, took over as interim president. there for a spell. And I remember one of the statements he made. They said, "Dr. Garland, what do you feel about being interim president?" And he says, I walked down the hallway to my office and I see past presidents. I realize that all of them are interim. And so what you realize is this is all temporary, right? There's going to be another head coach at Baylor. There's going to be another head coach at ORU. There's going to be other assistants at Baylor. That we're just stewards, right? We're just given an opportunity for whatever period of time we're given it, and we need to make sure that we honor it, and we need to steward it well. We need to serve our time well, because the reality is we're all interim. That's done by helping and serving others. And so Scott does that. I mean, I understand what gets televised on ESPN, but behind the doors, Scott is there to help and to serve and to aid other people. And especially, if it's one that touches so close in regards to power outages, from a week ago to even COVID issues and helping your players there. But I'll tell you that, again, during my time at Baylor, Scott was always, how do we serve our players? What can we do in order to help them? And, it may be something cool, like we need to do something different with the locker room, but it could also be like, can we make sure this young man who's not feeling well, I'm going to take him breakfast. Jerome, could you take him lunch? And then Paul, could you take him dinner? And so he was constantly thinking about how do we put people first.
You have a couple of players. Paul Mills, head basketball coach at Oral Roberts. A couple more questions. You have a couple of guys that are scoring a bunch of points for you. I think a combined 42 points with Atmos and Obanar. Is that right?
Obanar and Asmus, yeah. And they're actually the best duo in the country. One is from Houston, one is from Dallas. And they're actually the two most efficient players in our conference, and both of them are top 30 in the country in efficiency. And one of them, I believe, Max Asmus, is going to end up being player of the year. The other one will be a first-team all-league player, Kevin O'Banner. And so, I mean, coaches will tell you that, the name of the game is you better have really good players. And one, I'm a big believer in the New Zealand All Blacks, the famous rugby team theory of good people make good players. And you need to get good people, people who have high character, who care about doing the right things. And then you need to aid them. You need to help with their development on and off the court. And that's usually how it translates. And we're fortunate to likely have two first-team all-league players, and hopefully what's going to end up being player of the year. But you see that also at Baylor.
Yeah.
I think Jared and Davion are going to end up being both first-team all-league guys. Jared's obviously got a real chance to be player of the year in that league. And then you see all the way down the list just everybody's willingness to have contribution, but it's because of the high character. And I was there when Mark Vitale was there, and Mark's just he's a worker and he's a competitor, and you see how that translates onto the court. And so for all of those things, in order to be good, you better have really good players, and you better be able to help them get better. And so we're fortunate to have that here.
Good luck with your last couple of regular season games and also in the tournament, the Summit League tournament. Paul Mills, head basketball coach at Oral Roberts. It was great to know you when you were here. Thrilled to have a chance to visit with you as well, and we wish you the best.
Smokey, thank you, brother.
Paul Mills, head basketball coach at Oral Roberts University on SicEm365 Radio. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Really excited to win, really excited to be back, and obviously does 3 weeks affect your play 100%, but at the same time I think Iowa State deserves a lot of credit.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Baylor head basketball coach, 18-0. That's a school record. Number 2 ranked team in the country. Scott Drew on SicEm365 Radio. You said last night you thought after going through all that, winning the game, that you would sleep well. I know what you've told me happens when you don't win. What about last night? Did you fall asleep like a baby?
Well, unfortunately, here's the bad news about this time of year. You don't sleep after wins or losses. I saw the clock at 4:10, and I was like, oh, man. But you know what? I woke up with a smile because so proud of how the guys persevered and stuck with it and got the W. But obviously a lot of adrenaline and excitement. I mean, when you take 21 days away from the court, you're anxious to get back. So much better not sleeping after a win than not sleeping after a loss, though.
Mac Rhodes told us yesterday, we had him on, and he had said that Scott said, just keep your head on a swivel because you never know where things might be coming from, which direction. Is that kind of, unfortunately, even though you won the game, is that what you expected? So it's not that it made it easier, but you kind of knew that might happen, that you would struggle a little bit or quite a bit?
Well, during 3 weeks off, the one blessing is you're able to talk to a lot of coaches that go through what you're going through. And again, everybody has different reasons for pauses. Some can be contact tracing, but you're still working out guys. Others, you have a bunch of people that have COVID, which means they're in isolation. So trying to identify people that were going through what we went through. And for the most part, I think you can look at how Louisville played at North Carolina their first game back. We knew that it was going to be tough in the beginning. And one of the best advices I got was make sure you stay positive, because what you're watching in the beginning is really not your team. So
yeah.
and when we're down 17, you're like, I don't remember this 3 weeks ago, but thank goodness we got a veteran group and a mature group, because a lot of times whenever you come back and what you remember was a great win at Texas and playing really well, and then now you're not, and if you're not mature and don't have a good player-led team, you have frustration, and now what happens, 17 points goes to 30 points, and then you're not coming back.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go around a little bit for some things that aren't even about so much last night. I just got off the phone with Paul Mills. He's at Oral Roberts, 11-10. They played a really, the second hardest non-conference schedule in America. You think about Paul Mills, you think about Coach Driscoll, Grant McCaslin, those who have come out of the Scott Drew coaching tree, and how much they helped lay the foundation. We've had A.J. Walton and Brady Heslop recently. How much do you stay in touch or watch how they progress as men, and also with what else they do?
Well, that's the blessing of being part of the Baylor family. I mean, we're in communication. We're following, cheering on each other. If we ever have ideas, suggestions, things that can help, obviously we're there for each other. But that's one of the biggest things that I know that our current staff, like Coach Tang, who's been here all 18 years, we understand that we're at where we're at today because of what everyone's put in before. And it's just like climbing up a mountain. You don't get to the top. You got to go step by step. And all those guys that put in the work, they're so proud of these guys' current success, and directly have influenced their success because not only what they've done before, but staying in touch with their program. So many of our guys watch games if they're overseas till 5 a.m. and then they'll text our current players. And in the summertime when they come back, those bonds are formed, and they're able to pour in and help and give them advice, and then help them through their journey of here and professional.
I've had so many guys, and I know it's one thing that people who they play somewhere, they act like that's that's their program. In some cases, at alma mater, but it is to a man, player or coach or whoever, to a man about how and why and what Baylor, playing at Baylor, playing under you as a head coach or the staff, what it has really meant to them. Scott, that I know people sometimes say that these are players you can tell they mean it. What does that mean to you, that their experiences when they were there as a player and student athlete, and even when they're gone, are so tight?
Well, I think that's the greatest compliment your program can have, and I think for all teachers out there, if their past students ever say something positive about learning from them or being in their class or helping help form them, that's like the greatest compliment you can get. And with coaches, when your past players come back and give back to the program and talk highly of the program, that means you've done something well. And again, our past players are the program, and they deserve so much of the credit. So that's for us. We pre-COVID, bet week is like the best week of the year, when our guys that are still playing come back and play against our guys, work out with the guys, and guys that aren't playing anymore come back and just hang out. And again, those relationships are irony, like you said, A.J. Walton. Well, every year year before COVID, Grandpa Jack, his grandpa would come down and spend the weekend, him and his wife, and come to a couple of our games. And we're like, AJ, your grandpa comes down more games than you do. When are you coming back? Now, he's been overseas forever playing and doing the great things over there. But, again, that's the family dynamic and relationship you love. I mean, after wins, you'll get Quincy Acey's mom will text. That was a great win. Perry Jones' mom will text. And, like, actually, his dad texted a couple days ago even. I mean, it's more than just the players. It's their families and their love for Baylor University and the program that their sons help build.
You won that game at Texas, and you couldn't have been playing much better. That's when it all just shut down or paused. You sent text messages to a lot of players. Matt Saman put something up on his Twitter account. We had him on that same week about how you mentioned that he was there and helped, again, like so many others, build where you are today. That also means you stay in touch with them, too. And that's who you are. And you never seem to drop the ball on any of that.
Well, I know we all drop the ball on some things, but one of our greatest privileges is to help them, and greatest compliments is when they might have graduated 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they call back, and if we can help them with a job interview or a life question or a spiritual question, like those are the greatest privileges, because when you get into coaching, it's in college, it's more than just what they do on the court. I mean, at Baylor, we're so privileged to have an impact spiritually, character-wise, academic-wise, and those are things that we greatly value.
So, you win the game. There was about 6 to 10 possessions when you got within 1 or 2 and you had the ball and you couldn't quite get to tie or lead. And my concern is okay, you take so much energy to get back to where you're close, and then, you kind of like run out of gas. What did it say, your guys, the senior leadership or not, kept grinding? Because Flagler, of course, another one of those young men that had an amazing night. But what did it say that they just showed so much resiliency?
Well, and to your coaching point right there, you've seen so many games where people exert so much energy to get back in the game. They either take the lead real quick and then they're out of gas and then lose it, or they never can get over the hump. And that was one of our big concerns going into the game, was if we didn't start out well, which I knew it was going to be tough, would you have gas in the tank to come back or finish a game? And really credit our guys in as far as willing their way to victory. I mean, Mark had 15 rebounds, and I'm glad we didn't go to overtime, because I don't know if he had anything left in the tank. But like, everybody exerted and gave everything they had last night to get that done. And again, for anyone that's worked out, you take 21 days off and then try to go out and do what you were doing before and do it at that pace. I mean, it takes a lot.
Well, your chemistry. I saw the story Jeff Goodman wrote about how everyone arrived and how you compiled this roster. The fact that you have players who are homegrown coming out of high school, players who have transferred, players who have been here a long, long time. What does that say about your program, that everyone can feel comfortable in a day and age where everybody seems to have people who are walking out the door and leaving?
Well, I think first and foremost, our players deserve a lot of credit for identifying people they think fit with our program, and then recruiting them and welcoming them and mentoring them when they get here. And then the second thing is our staff has done a phenomenal job as well in recruiting, retaining, loving, and developing those that they've identified. And because of that, I mean, at the end of the day, so much is we're with guys every day, but it's limited. It's only a couple hours a day. So if you don't have players that have the right circle around them, telling them, hey, listen to your coaches, do what the coaches say, be a great teammate. If you have that inner circle every day, you need to be getting more shots, you need to be playing more, you need to get these accolades. I can't believe that guy got. Now what happens is, obviously those guys, it's hard to be successful, because what you hear for 2 hours or 3 hours of the day, the next 22 hours is completely opposite. So again, I think it's a lot of the families of our players deserve a lot of credit, because
they echo and reinforce what we say too.
You're on the verge of trying to clinch a Big 12 regular season championship. You play Kansas and West Virginia. Obviously, we know the history of Kansas, and we know West Virginia's right behind you. Does that make these next two games, not that if it was somebody else it's not important, but does that make it easier to kind of even get back into more of a focus after getting through last night, and now you know what's in front of you?
Well, I think the sense of urgency this time of year always is at a high because you're getting close to that finish line, and you want to finish the race that you started out. That's number one, and then number two, we have enough past players that last year we played at West Virginia on senior night, and that wasn't a good experience for us, and they remember that. So they know just how tough that place is to play. We had a great experience at Lawrence last year, and again, we were able to have that experience because of the trials and tribulations we went through those years before up there. So I know our guys will be motivated because Big 12 teams, no matter who you play, they all count as one game. But so many great players, coaches, programs, and then obviously past experiences from our guys. Definitely West Virginia and Kansas are two games that will excite them.
Scott, I asked Jerome Ting what was the most impressive thing he saw you do during this pause. And he said it was that you and Kelly, your wife Kelly, that you were making sure that staff or whoever had food, hotel rooms, that you became the servant leader that so many people expect. But you went out and delivering food and all that. I know it was across the campus as well, but that you were making sure everybody who didn't have something had something. And he didn't say anything about practice or basketball or winning the games. You just get it, don't you?
Well, I think that's a blessing you're able to do, is have an impact on people's lives, and our whole program is joy, Jesus, others, yourself, and we're all servants to each other. And when you serve, it's kind of like Christmas time. Everyone I think can relate. You love getting gifts, but there's nothing better than when you bought a gift and someone's really excited about it. And giving is a great opportunity and a privilege. And with the snowstorm and everything, the Baylor family really did a great job of taking care of our players and making sure that everybody had heat, electricity, got to a place that did. If they didn't, had food. And then with our staff, sometimes they always ask who motivates the motivator, and sometimes with the staff, they do such a great job taking care of the players. As the head coach, I got to make sure our staff's taken care of because they're always taking care of everyone else. And that's one of the best things about being a part of a family, is seeing everyone help each other, support each other during hard times. And if it's not once in a 100-year pandemic, then you throw in a once in a 100-year snowstorm. Yeah. Definitely the last 3 weeks were adventurous, weren't they?
No question about it. One more question. Last year you're 24-3. You're about to play in the tournament. You have a chance that you could do things that no one had ever done at Baylor. You're 17-0, and you're on this great run, and then here comes the pause. Have you at any time in the last, let's say, 9 to 10 months ever said, why us?
Well, again, we ask our players to control what they can control on the court, and same thing with us. I look at it and, nobody wants to have a pause, especially when you're playing your best basketball. But at the same time, the glass is half full, and what I mean by that is it's going to be tough coming back and getting back to where we were at. But when we do, hopefully it's a blessing and refresher come March, and we're able to make a deep run then. So again, controlling what you can control and making the most out of it.
Last day.
And you know what? After 21 days of being away from basketball and watching everyone else play, it's nice. It's nice for us to be out there playing. Now, the first 15 minutes last night might not have been as nice, but the rest was good. Yeah.
So, and that's to close it out with this. So you play. You get that out of the way. Obviously, the legs, trying to get that back. It's just not something you can, go put a quarter in a machine and you get your legs back. So how do you handle between now and Saturday?
Video game.
Yeah, exactly. How do you handle, obviously today, decompress, and then you go back at it Thursday, you travel Friday. How important is managing whatever you can between now and Saturday in Lawrence?
Well, and that's where having a great strength coach like Charlie Melton that does a great job getting bodies right, and then working with him to make sure we're not over practicing or under practicing guys. Our trainer Dave Snyder, his thoughts and opinions, and everybody collectively working and listening to players how they feel, and you manage all of that at the same time you're going through something where normally there's no pauses in a February, so you know what to do because you've had 18 years of experience in managing bodies and knowing when to let off. When you have 3 weeks off, it's always an adventure. So I think learning from other people that probably went through what we went through earlier is important because they can offer some wisdom, and then taking that into account for what we're doing. Because sometimes you come back and you're like, hey, we got to really get after it, and then all of a sudden you tap the legs and make it tough to play because you're trying to get back in shape too quick.
Scott Drew of number 2 unbeaten Baylor, still unbeaten, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
All right, thanks to Scott Drew. Paul Mills. We're not done. Dan Vasta will join us, bracketmatrix.com. He's a guy that has put together some data, and we'll have him on in the next segment to kind of give us an idea where Baylor is with the shutdown or the pause, missing games. Are they still, where are the Bears when it comes to what he looks at? And the win against Iowa State last night. Text line remains open at 254-339-1122. SicEm365 Radio.
2021 is finally here. Make it great by starting big at the New Year New Ride Savings event at Richard Carr. It's stimulus and refund check time, so if the government gave you some of your money back, take it and multiply it with savings at Richard Carr. You can find big savings like a 2018 GMC Sierra or a 2019 Buick Encore for $16,800. You get an almost new 2020 Honda Civic for only $21,900, plus payments on late model cars and trucks for under $200 a month for qualified buyers, and they have hundreds of used cars and trucks priced to move during the New Year New Ride Savings event. You can also get 0% for 72 months on a new 2021 Buick Encore with payments of $318 a month and no money down, or get a money-saving lease on the stylish, intelligent, and nimble 2021 Buick Encore GX Preferred with on-the-go Alexa technology for only $293 a month. And during the New Year New Ride Savings event, all pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move with amazing deals. So if your credit's as bad as 2020, it's a new year, and in 2021, 100% credit approval is Richard Carr's goal. So again, bring your tax refund to your stimulus to Richard Carr, and they will stimulate your stimulus with even bigger savings that will pay off for years. Go to Richard Carr Motors today for details on a test drive, or log on to richardcarr.com now and have them bring the test drive to you. Make 2021 the best year ever, starting with a new car or truck during the New Year New Ride Savings event at Richard Carr.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, there's been many people. Tomorrow Jeff Goodman will join us. We've had Fran Fraschilla. King McClure will be a part of the show tomorrow. Evan Miyakawa, he's been a part of what we've done, looking at some matrix and data. We've had Ken Palm. We've had the bracketology guy from ESPN. He's joined us as well, Joe Lenardi. So we've had a lot of that, and there's a lot of it out there. And Dan Vosta joins us, bracketmatrix.com, among some many things that he does, breaking down college basketball, the eyesight test, the data, and much more. And he joins us on SicEm365 Radio. So Baylor wins last night. It wasn't pretty, but at 18-0. Your thoughts about what you saw last night, and really as far as where Baylor is now, is there any way other than a complete meltdown they will not be a number 1 seed?
Hey, good to be on. That last night's game was certainly quite a little heartburn maybe in that first half. Certainly the Bears, I think, showed their true form in the second half. And I think it was, avoiding disaster, if you will, even though that big layoff. But still, to get the victory, Iowa State has played close with many opponents in the Big 12 especially. But I think barring they lose 3 of these next 4 games at least scheduled at the moment, they're pretty much a mortal lock to be a number 1 seed right now in the country. Certainly, it's going to take some draft off the one line. There's still a shot that could be the number 1 overall, but certainly for a team that was preseason number 2 in the AP and even number 1 in the coaches poll, they've been on my one line the entire season, and it's going to take a lot for them to jump off that one line. They've simply just been about as consistent as it gets in college basketball for at least this season.
For point of comparison, obviously, Gonzaga would be the other one. I don't think we need to delve into that, but who are the other teams on your one line right now?
Yeah, so right now I think you're looking at kind of the Big Ten. Other than Gonzaga and Baylor, the Big Ten is kind of taking the nation by storm. We thought going in the year they would be arguably the best conference right there with the Big 12. But besides Gonzaga and Baylor, I still have Michigan as a clear-cut, my 3rd number 1 overall seed. And then I have Ohio State being my last number 1 seed at the moment, despite that narrow loss. Very competitive on Sunday at home. Illinois was pretty close there until losing last night. So I'd have Alabama personally as that next team to be the top 2 seed at the moment. But there's lots of other teams that are in the running. Villanova, if they were to win out and win the Big East and look impressive doing so, they could have a shot. Don't want to count out Illinois just yet, but Iowa has a big test against Michigan tomorrow night. Those are kind of the couple that I think have a legit chance. And if there's somebody other in the Big 12 besides Baylor that could perhaps join the Bears at that top line, I would look at perhaps West Virginia, because they potentially could play Baylor 2 more times. And if they were to somehow beat them at least once and maybe twice, the Oklahoma Mountaineers could be that dark horse shot to maybe sneak in there. But outside that Big 4 I got currently with a maybe Alabama or another Big 10 team, it's going to be tough, slim pickings for the rest. But those clear teams right now have kind of flexed their muscles the most this season.
Dan, the Big 12, you mentioned the success the conference has had. How many teams do you anticipate getting into the tournament, and what work needs to be done, if any, by some of these teams?
Yeah. It's simply almost flawless. Certainly in terms of the overall, you look at the standings, it's been phenomenal. The Big Ten tournament, knock on wood, if we were to get the top 4 seeds from that Big Ten right now, which is Michigan, Illinois, Ohio State, and Iowa, those could all be either regional final matchups or potentially, the Big Ten homers will stay out there. We got a couple Final Four teams, but Michigan, Illinois, Ohio State, and Iowa are the 4 teams that obviously are just fighting for 1s and 2s, and if they struggle, they'll still get a 3. So those 4 are locked in. Then you have Purdue and Wisconsin, which are in that mid-tier range, anywhere from a 3 or 4 seed to at least a 6 or 7. Wisconsin's kind of been fading a little bit. So that's 6 right there that are pretty much locked to get in, obviously. Then it's those next couple teams. I think Maryland, very favorable schedule. Barring they fall apart here, they're starting to pick up momentum. They'll be my 7th team that makes it from the Big Ten. And then I think I would go with Rutgers at the moment, still be my 8th team, with Minnesota, Michigan State, and Indiana. Anywhere from the 9th, 10th, and 11th team potentially having at least a puncher's chance to get in. But it's going to be tough for more than one of those 3 to get in. So I would say we're going to be a good chance. We're going to get at least 8, perhaps 9. But I would probably say we only get 8 because those teams are going to have to win at least a couple of those big ones. We saw Michigan State get a big one last night, but they're going to have to get at least 2, maybe 3 more of those big ones. And that is kind of a bit a lot to ask. So I would say 8 at the moment. Outside shot, we get 9.
7 of the 10 in the Big 12 will make the tournament, all the way from Baylor to Texas Tech, who's now under 500 in the conference. Baylor ends with Texas Tech, in fact, a week from Saturday or a week from Sunday, I guess it is. But TCU, Kansas State, Iowa State, one of them would have to win the tournament. Is there any way Baylor and the others I mentioned will not get in the tournament with the way it's kind of locked up and how they've separated? But Texas Tech now, 6-7. Their quadrant 1 and 2 record is not very good, but yet everyone seems to rank them very high.
Sure. I think the efficiency, if you will, the analytics people like them a little bit more because for the season at least, they've been fairly efficient. But, the eye test and kind of what you do down the stretch, they try not to say it doesn't dictate a lot, but certainly I think does. And maybe this year more than ever, where we don't have 25 to 30 games for many teams that oftentimes have that many in terms of selection of games going into Selection Sunday. Now you look, a lot of teams have only played maybe 20, not even that, going in. And Texas Tech is one of those teams that has struggled down the stretch. Many people had them at 3 or 4 seed on a bad day a week ago. I've dropped them to a 6 seed. Even if they were to borderline lose out, they're still, I think, a mortal lock to make the dance. But from what it looked like, they were going to be a second weekend team for many people saying this just maybe a week ago, where now it's not a guarantee that they even win a game in the tournament. They're going to need much more efficient play from Mac McClung and TJ Shannon. Those guys, Shannon off the bench has been very inefficient, but they got to finish strong down the stretch of games. But I think they're still going to be safe to be that 7, 8, 9 range where they could still be at least a good shot to be favored in the first round of 64. But you can make a strong case, them being the 7th team, obviously not just right now, but even going into Selection Sunday.
Where did you have Kansas say 2.5 weeks ago to compare to where they are now?
Wow. Kansas State Wildcats? I had them pretty much.
No, the Jayhawks. The Jayhawks.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. The Jayhawks. Yeah, the Jayhawks. I mean, they were looking like still a tournament team a couple weeks ago, but they were looking, I think, in that 7, 8 range in terms of forecasting down the road. But I still had them as a 5, 6 seed. So I wasn't really off the bandwagon for the Jayhawks. And I think Kansas, it's amazing what they have done these last couple of years. They're still fighting. I still believe that they're a very low at that moment, a 4 seed right now. I think they got a shot to still remain in that 4 or 5 seed range. Bill Self's done a tremendous job, and it's amazing. You got to go back way to 2000. The year 2000 was the last time we saw Kansas worse than a 4 seed, which is the all-time record to be a top 4 seed in 19 straight tournaments. Is pretty impressive. They haven't exactly had amazing success in the tournament over those years, only winning one national championship. But I do believe Kansas is in that mid-tier range, anywhere from a 4 to a 6. And if they were to somehow get to the Big 12 title game and win it, I wouldn't count them out to be potentially a 3 seed. But right now, losing that game last night, we'll see how they do this weekend. I think they're in that 5-6 range where obviously they're in deep jeopardy of having that 19-year streak of being a top 4 seed. Potentially that will end that streak.
Dan, how weird has it been this season putting together your brackets and there's, not a Duke. You got North Carolina, Kentucky, Michigan State, all these blue bloods that we're so used to seeing, taking at least a couple number 1 seeds. I mean, there's some that aren't going to make the tournament. Just how different has it been, looking at the field this year versus previous years?
It is so much fun, guys. It's been a joy. I mean, it's amazing. You look at the blue bloods, almost all of them have struggled miserably, if not a little disappointing, since we've seen so many top 10 preseason teams that we'll see if any of them make the tournament. Obviously, Kansas is looking great. North Carolina, I think, is going to be in the tournament, be at least a mid-tier seed. But you look at it, it's the top storyline, arguably, in the season, other than Gonzaga and Baylor and their perfection. You look at historically, right now, Gonzaga has only been a 1 seed 3 times in program history. Michigan's only been a 1 seed twice. The Buckeyes have done it 4 times, and the Baylor Bears are looking to accomplish it for the first time ever. They've only made 12 tournament appearances. They're 12-12 all time. It's his lucky number 13 for the Bears. They are one of the bigger storylines, certainly nationally. Finally going to get that number 1 seed, it looks like. That's kind of been the storyline. These 1 seeds are not accustomed to being in the spotlight, in the limelight, where people are going to be picking them to go very far in their brackets. And you compare them to blue bloods, which normally just get the love by just kind of showing up, rolling the ball out, and they win 20 to 25 games. Not so much this year. It's been great to see kind of the underrated teams. Not so much Baylor, Gonzaga, since they were top 2 preseason, but Michigan, Ohio State were hardly even ranked in the preseason, and here they are. Many feel that they are as good of a shot to get to the Final Four as anybody.
Dan Foster with us on SicEm365 Radio. When you look at some of the blue bloods, what Kentucky's trying to dig out from under, Duke has gotten a little momentum going. And there was a time when Kansas, of course, was struggling. They had a nice run until the tough loss in Austin last night. But is this a year when we're going to see UCLA, Kentucky, Duke, among others, that don't even make the tournament?
Yeah, I think so. I think Kentucky needs a miracle. They're going to have to win the SEC tournament, clearly. Michigan State's going to have to win at least 3 more big ones like they did last night. I don't know if it's certainly possible, but very unlikely. It's likely they're going to miss it. UCLA's pretty safe. They should get in. They're not maybe a mortal lock, but they should be able to get that 8, 9, 10 range. I think North Carolina is also going to get in. They have Marquette tonight in the non-conference. They've kind of helped themselves lately, scheduling games, kind of giving them some momentum. For some teams that haven't played a lot lately, North Carolina hasn't lost a game at home either, so they're kind of on the way up where it's amazing Roy Williams has not yet lost a first-round game, round of 64 in his career. If North Carolina keeps winning, they'll probably be favored to do so yet again. But Duke, I certainly think they now have, didn't think so a week ago, that they have a clear chance now to make the postseason. I think it's all about making the NCAA tournament because you look at these upcoming games for them, they have a good chance to be favored in almost all of them, other than the trip to Chapel Hill. I think they'll probably be in my field later this weekend if they beat Louisville at home. And I think there's a good chance they'll beat Georgia Tech next week. So looking at this weekend, next weekend, they'll likely be in the field. Even if they don't get a top 4 seed in the ACC conference tournament, they may just literally just need 1 game, just can't wet the bed in that conference tournament, win 1 game, and they'll probably be a lock to be in that 8 to 10 range. But it is still amazing. You look at some of the top teams on paper, at least, in the country. There's a Michigan State team that I think could have won the national championship a year ago, and now it's not looking like they're going to make it. In Kentucky, many thought, like myself included, I believe I had them in the 1 or 2 line in the preseason way back in October around Halloween. How much has changed in a narrow couple of weeks going out in a couple of months.
Dan Valsta, again, it's at the _stats guru. You have your bracketmatrix.com, and I have the grid in front of me. You have what seem to be 2 or 3 dozen of whatever someone has somebody ranked. And is that kind of how you go about your business of where everybody has certain seeds?
Yeah, I certainly take a look in and see what everybody else has, just to see if there's any teams I keep track of, kind of the field, if you will, the rest of the country compared to me. There are a couple of teams that I may be a little higher on or lower on than others. I'll recalculate the numbers to see the net quad 1 and 2 wins. I'll watch those teams, rewatch highlights and games that I often DVR if I'm not watching them live. But for the most part, they've been pretty close to dead on with a lot of the rest of America has these teams seated at. I think it really comes down to in this season where it's a little bit shortened, if you will, these next couple of weeks going into Selection Sunday, now less than 3 weeks. I think it's gonna prove pivotal for a lot of teams, not just on the bubble, but trying to work their ways up to a 1 and 2 seed.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. Anything else, guys? Yep. Dan Valsta, bracketmatrix.com. You can also find him on Twitter at the _stats guru. Dan, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Ought to be a fun couple of weeks between now and setting the tournament. Have a great week.
You too, guys. Appreciate me on and hope to talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely. Dan Valsta with us on SicEm365 Radio. Again, tomorrow, we will have, at least we have scheduled Jeff Goodman. We thought it was going to be the night that Baylor hosted West Virginia. He did the big story about how Baylor came together with all these different parts of different areas, different transfers, different ages, different parts of the country. He'll join us tomorrow. King McClure as well will be available at 4. He did the Baylor game with Iowa State. There was a point late in that broadcast when Baylor had like a 5-point lead or a 4-point lead and they were at the free throw line, and he said this game is over. And he was referring to the fact that Iowa State took too much time to take a shot, and I think they then missed it and fouled. And then I love what King did. He goes, I got to take something back here. I said this game was over. It's not necessary. Then Butler hit 2 free throws and it was over. But I love the fact he was not like in a double down, because there was still a chance there that Iowa State could come back and win the game.
Yeah, that was. I remember heard him say that, and then I thought to myself, okay. The other thing I liked that he called Matt Meyer out on his new haircut.
Yeah,
on the mullet, which we have not discussed today, but I do think, we got to get into
not
somehow.
A fan?
I mean, it's fine. Each their own, but sometimes you need somebody to tell you. Nah.
That's not a good haircut?
Yeah, I mean, live it up.
I'm not going to make fun of anyone who has any kind of ability to grow it. So that's where I am right there. Thanks to Dan Voss. Appreciate his time. Coming up, John Machota today at 5 on the Cowboys. Hey, this thing with Dak Prescott, can't wait to have Joel Corey on tomorrow to kind of break down Dak Prescott, the Cowboys. And we're coming to a point where it's going to be either yes or no. Right? And it's either franchise tag or an extension after so many months and months and, oh, my God, months of just bringing up the topic. So that's coming up as well. Paul's 5 at 5:55 coming up in about an hour.
Better Baylor mullet, as you see Matthew Meyer right there. Him or Drew Galitz? Drew Galitz, former Baylor kicker, punter, had a pretty nice little mullet as well, from what I remember. But he's rocking it.
I didn't even notice that.
I'm in that zone where I trimmed my hair a little bit like a couple months ago, and then I was just like, I'm not getting it cut anytime soon. I just don't feel good going into the barbershop just yet. And then it got to the point where I was like, now I just don't care. So I've just let it grow, but haven't thought about, as much as I've thought about getting it cut, and when I do, I'm going to get it real short. The complete opposite of what I haven't quite gone the mullet route. Although my relatives, because I always have a hat on, they think I have a mullet because they just see the back of it, and they don't realize, no, the front's as long, if not longer, but not quite ready to go the mullet route.
I mean, there's not, here's the thing. It's not a haircut that screams success to me. The most successful guy with a mullet was Billy Ray Cyrus, and he was more successful because of, his offspring than himself.
Yeah, at this point. Mike Gundy's pretty successful.
Yeah,
he's rocked the mullet pretty well. But nice little haircut. Nice little win.
I've never ever have I ever wanted to have one. Never thought it was a good look.
I actually think you've had one. You just don't realize it because you kind of rocked a look where you had it shorter on top but longer in the back, and that's basically a mullet.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean, basically. Shorter on top, longer in the back.
Think of it this way. They call it
basically a mullet.
It's business in the front, party in the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you kind of, sort of, in a roundabout way, had one, but just not intentionally.
Well, then I apologize for the fact that I had that look. I did not even realize I had it otherwise. All right, coming up, we'll get into a couple of things. Des Bryant, he got an opportunity. Now says he's looking for another opportunity. I think he was complimenting the Ravens, but I don't know if he knows how to actually do that. He just can't stop from going a little bit too far. We'll have that for you.
You know, the thing with people that talk all the time, and I know I realize that, you know, saying that with what we do, but the people that talk all the time typically talk themselves into trouble or talk themselves out of a good situation the more that they talk.
Yeah. The more bullets you fire, the more likely you are to hit some sort of target.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's come back and get into that. Des Bryant talking about a new team that he's looking for. We'll get to that, plus much more. The Texas Sports Writers Association has released their all-state team in Class 4A. We'll dot the I's and cross the T's on what teams, players in the Central Texas area are a part of that. I mentioned Lindale running back Jordan Jenkins, the offensive player of the year. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco. I hope they've gotten replenished in the last couple of days, but in the days before the winter storm, they got cleaned out because people knew they were going to be inside, and any way you can to keep warm, I get it. But when you are looking for a craft beer, no better place than Riverbend Liquor and Wine. When you're looking for a wide selection of spirits, there's no better place than Riverbend Liquor and Wine. When you want a great selection of wine, whether it's reds or whites or Moscatos or, Prosecco. Oh, they got all that stuff. It's all there. They've got a great drive-through window that is super convenient and super quick. It's just the easiest thing to do when you're out and looking for liquor, beer, or wine. Whatever you need, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, they're going to point you in the right direction. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street here in Waco. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
All right, next segment, we'll hear from John Machota, theathletic.com. He's written another kind of a piece-by-piece deadline, yes and no's on the Cowboys and also Dak Prescott. Again, Joel Curry, NFL agent, will join us tomorrow on it at 3:30. So Des Bryant, how long was it out of the league? About 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
Had the comeback with the Saints. We know that ended. We were covering the Sugar Bowl. Were we covering, was it, I don't know if we were at the Sugar Bowl or not, but he had the Achilles tear. Mm-hmm. So he gets an opportunity last year. Baltimore actually picks him up, signs him. He's on the roster. But he then put this out there. He wants to play 2 more years, but apparently will not be with the Ravens. In a series of tweets, late Tuesday night, the wide receiver explained why he never broke out of a limited role with the Ravens. I realized quick that Baltimore wasn't the place for me. No bad blood. That's the way they're doing. That's their way of doing things. So you got to respect it. So that's kind of backwards. Mm-hmm. He then said, I wasn't bothered about playing time. I enjoyed myself, met some great teammates, guys. I feel like I will be keeping in contact a long time. I'm thankful for the opportunity Baltimore gave me. I plan on playing 2 more years. That's fine. That's it for me. But the comment, I realized quick, Baltimore wasn't the place for me. There were 32 places that was not the place for him.
For years.
For 2 or 3 years, if not longer. I don't understand that comment. And I don't know if he's being misunderstood here, taken out of context, which can happen all the time. He then says that that's just, again, that's their way of doing things, so you got to respect it. Yes, Baltimore's been pretty consistently pretty good. So, yeah, you're lucky you had the opportunity. I'm not saying lucky. You had the opportunity. You got a chance to be a part of an NFL team. You didn't get to play much because you weren't good enough, but you got a chance to go back in the NFL. Who's gonna pick him up as another year?
I don't know.
Is he going to beat somebody deep? Is he going to threaten a secondary?
You know, essentially right now he's kind of a small tight end.
That's a good
point. That can't block.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's and the other thing about Dez, and this is really the tragedy of Dez's career is he was never a great route runner. He was big and fast and strong, and good luck covering him. And if he was an okay route runner, he was going to win most of the time. But as you lose that speed, you got to be more precise. The reason Jerry Rice was good until he was 38 years old wasn't because he was fast until he was 38. It's because he was so precise and strong and good. And so Dez was still strong, but he was not precise. So if you're going to be that kind of a player, then you need to be bigger than Dez is, which is not something he's going to do.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten about Dez having a Twitter account until you brought this story up, because I unfollowed him a long time ago because he loves his Twitter, man. He really does. So no surprise that that's what he used to say what he did. If I was Baltimore, I would be like, all right, well, so much for nothing. I mean, gave you the opportunity and you go out and say, oh, I knew really quickly it wasn't the place for me and I still want to play but not with them. And I don't know. It just seems, even though he says in his statement that he appreciates the opportunity and all that, it doesn't seem like he really does. And it seems to me like Des Bryant has a completely different idea in his head of what people view him as, or how he's viewed versus the reality of how he's viewed. Right now, he is a washed up, aging, not number one wide receiver, and maybe he still has a little bit of gas left in the tank to make a play here or there like he did with Baltimore, but for the most part his days of being even a top 2 guy on any team are well done and over with and have been for years now. So he's lucky to have a job in the NFL, quite frankly. He's lucky that the Ravens even gave him the opportunity. So yeah, you should be thankful for it, but
And he only got it because of COVID.
So, I hated when what happened with the Saints. That was really unfortunate for Dez when he got injured there in practice right before the season started. So I'm a fan of his from the standpoint of I've never disliked the guy or anything. I think he does run his mouth probably a little bit too much sometimes and gets himself into trouble, and it seems to be the case here. I mean, not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but just an interesting set of comments to make when it's not like you're the most desirable person in the world right now.
Yeah, so you had a chance.
And what did he do with it, quite frankly? Did he do enough to where another team's out there like the Lions or somebody?
He caught a touchdown pass, right?
Yeah, so, I don't know that any team out there is going, oh, man, Dez is leaving Baltimore?
Yeah.
Let's get up. Not when a 22-year-old who's, running a 0.2 of a second faster 40 time and has years less on their bodies coming out from Clemson or something like that.
So that's his chemistry with Lamar Jackson was a little off. Our chemistry was good on and off the field, but it was with guys there before me who understood the offensive concept better than me. You can't jeopardize that. Well, then why even bring that's a common. Of course, that's true. Guys who have been there understand the system, the offensive, whatever they do. Of course, you're not going to take them out because you didn't push them out.
Well, and I think, too, the structure of that organization is not really simpatico with Dez Bryant. You know what I mean? Like, they could take in any bad seed in the NFL, and I'm not saying that Dez is a bad seed or that a bunch of Ravens are, but they could take in just about any bad seed, and you have a feeling they're not going to get into trouble. Like, they're going to be doing their jobs, and maybe that structure bothered Dez. I don't know. I just think it's kind of a silly comment to make.
Every move the Ravens make isn't good, but it's prudent.
Yes.
They're very prudent about things. Like when they do it, they've done their due diligence.
And I'm sure that when they saw these comments, because they won't make a public comment, they were probably like, well, you weren't going to be back here anyways, so see ya.
They're like, all right.
all right, Dez, thanks for the memories.
Well, I
wish him the best, though. I do.
Maybe he'll, but here's the stat, and then we go to the break. Dez Bryant became the second Pro Bowl wide receiver to miss 2 full seasons and then return to the league since the merger in 1970.
Wow.
The second Pro Bowl wide receiver to miss 2 full years and come back and play. Do you know who the other one is?
No idea.
Josh Gordon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that might have been like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, he's out there somewhere. I don't know. I noticed he was out the other day. He made a comment about going to play a round of golf. All right, when we come back, John Machota, theathletic.com, the latest with the Cowboys and Dak. I almost could just rewind that. And the good news is there is a timeline coming. And we'll discuss that plus a little bit more. We'll hear more from Baylor last night after their win against Iowa State to go 18-0 for the first time ever. This is SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, certified by J.D. Power again for this year as the winner of the Customer First Award for Excellence for dealerships in Waco. March is Ram Truck Month on all new trucks, so it's coming. And Ram is the 3-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year, back to back to back. The truck is built to serve you, perfect for whatever your lifestyle calls for. Check out the new Ram 1500, the 2500, the Ram 3500, top safety pick for trucks named in 2021. Impressive towing capability, heavy-duty payload capacity, multi-function tailgate, blind spot monitoring, high-strength steel frame, adapt time cruise control, and the smoothest, most comfortable ride of any truck. The Dodge Performance Days also coming, going to help what you want with the new Dodge lineup, the first domestic brand, highest rated overall in J.D. Power's initial quality study. Dodge is built for top performance, touchscreen technology, superior craftsmanship, advanced safety features. Come take a test drive. And, of course, Jeep Celebration event continues as well. It's Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. New cars waiting for you right now at Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
And on second down, it's Williams up the middle. Short of the first, the ball is out. It's scooped up by the Cowboys. On the run up the field, Aldon Smith motoring to the other end, and Aldon Smith will take it in for a Dallas touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Got an email from Robert Cessna from the Eagle down in Bryan College Station. He is someone that compiles all the nominations, spits out the Texas Sports Writers Association all-state teams. I'm fortunate to be a compiler of that because of what we do ourselves with an all-East and or all-Central Texas football team. Jordan Jenkins, Lindale running backs, the Offensive Player of the Year. In 4A, Carthage defensive back Brandon King. Defensive Player of the Year, I voted for their linebacker, Kip Lewis, who's getting an offer from every single human being, college America. The one he's not heard from is like Trey Wisner, is Alabama. And now that
look, they need to keep to their business, all right? I'm already white-knuckling this as it is.
You're not going to white-knuckle. There's no reason to white-knuckle Trey Wisner. He's not going to Tallahassee. Now, so I talked to Carthage head coach Scott Surratt, And he gave me hell because I didn't name him as the coach of the year for the 19th consecutive year in East Texas, although he could have been. I had Lindale's Chris Cochran. But I asked him about C.J. Rogers, the quarterback at Argyle, who's a preferred walk-on at Baylor. He said he saw him play earlier this year against Pleasant Grove, which we know is a very high-quality team. He said he's okay. And then he saw him later in the year. He said, I'm not so sure that guy doesn't end up starting at some point at Baylor. Or what he mentioned by that, they had Kai Horton, the quarterback, 6'5", 220, could throw it like a dime, and he's going to Tulane, and that's fine. But the COVID really hurt hundreds of kids this year because they couldn't go to camps back in the summer last year. And so some of those are going through that this year. But he mentioned he was really impressed with C.J. Rogers, the quarterback at Argyle. He knows they have Kyron Drones, and he knows about Jacob Zeno. Scott Surratt knows that, but he's just saying, I'm not surprised at some point he doesn't play at Baylor. So that's an interesting note from a 7-time state championship coach. Now, from Central Texas, I'm not going to go through the entire team because they have 3 teams in honorable mention. Emmanuel Abdallah, first-team running back, had a great run. Jordan Rogers, all-purpose player on offense, was first team. Let's see. Corey Aper, who was, I think, our newcomer of the year on defense in the all-Central Texas team, is a defensive lineman first team. Case Brister, who was the defensive player of the year in Central Texas, first team linebacker as well. Rook Brown, first team defensive back out of Salado. And so that is the first team. There's many others. I saw where Kavion Gaither was a utility man on defense, second team all utility, which means he played everywhere, which he could. Of course, he played everywhere. So those are some of the names from around Central Texas that made the all-state team.
I've got a note here for Baylor. NFL.com, I guess, has their list of pro days out, and Baylor's is set for March 31st. Okay. So just a minor note there that that'll be William Bradley King, and I can't imagine many others. It's not, a big class as far as most of their players who you would think would be in the mix are all coming back. So, William Bradley King and maybe some former guys come back, kind of like they do sometimes, or some UMHB guys. Yep. But outside of that, I can't imagine it's going to be, super.
Yeah, UMHB guys are small colleges that
Carleton State and guys like that.
Within an hour here, just do it all here so that you can get, save the trouble on the trip.
Yeah, but not a whole lot of other prospects outside of William Bradley King. So, anyways, March 31st.
There was a time for about 5 to 7 years where that was a place to be, was inside the indoor facility and the pro days that nothing will ever match. We say that, who knows, the kind of attention, the crowd, the energy, the atmosphere, NFL Network and ESPN broadcasting live from inside the indoor facility when Robert Griffin III was about to have his pro day workout.
Yeah, I would know. I was in Bowling Green. Chris
Mortensen was there reporting live.
It was the year before I got here. My biggest pro day experience, I guess, would then have to be Corey Coleman.
Yeah.
And, obviously Xavier Howard was in that group, and Andrew Billings was in that group, and there were probably 2 or 3 others that were in that group. But, yeah, that was still not to the level of what you guys described the RG3 pro day.
No.
That's crazy.
He described.
I described
Larry's Giant Subs in Bowling Green, Ohio.
You were sitting in some nice suite inside the Hampton Suites and probably having a breakfast buffet. And I'm sitting there working this pro day and having to run around. And
No. Here's what else I remember about that day. We had the guy who hosted the show before Craig did something you didn't like, and you called in. And you were asking me about it loudly. That's what I'll say. I'm like, I'm in Bowling Green. I don't know. I didn't even talk to him today. That was my 3 days. In Bowling Green, Ohio.
But that was a 3-day period of time when you and Kimmy got all back together again.
We did. But I'll tell you this.
Let's get back to pro day.
When I got off the plane in Toledo and in the rental car to Bowling Green, I thought, who lives here? Why would you stay?
Stop that. That's not nice. There's a lot of beautiful, wonderful people who live in Bowling Green. I saw a couple of comments from a broadcaster. Baylor's football game back in the season, back during the season, a game got canceled. And I saw national broadcasters. Like someone said, aren't you lucky? It was the guy that runs The Athletic with Bruce Feldman. Stuart Mandel with a real smart ass, unneeded, unnecessary, and uninformed, by the way, comment about Waco, and he got blasted for it because that's something, if you haven't been here in the last 3 to 5 years, now you got to deal with I-35. The growth in this city and what's going up is insane.
I haven't been
and
there.
Bowling Green, people feel the same way about Bowling Green. So it was crazy. That was a fun time.
Not based on the blank stares on their face, but yeah.
That was a fun time to be involved in covering Baylor with the pro day and the men's and women's basketball team. The women ended up winning the national title in Denver. The men all went to Atlanta, lost to Kentucky. It was fantastic. Okay, break here. Come back with John Machota. Yep. All right, when we come back, John Machota, theathletic.com on Dak Prescott and more. SicEm365 Radio. PettyClinicLowT.com. Dr. Kent Petty, how can he help you? He can help you become, feel better. Be a high-performance man. How? Get your testosterone levels checked. As you get older, especially when you get into your upper 30s, especially when you get into your 30s, then the 40s and 50s and on, sometimes it's just father time. It's part of your life. Your testosterone levels can start to drop. And your testosterone levels can create various symptoms. One, being lethargic, not being what you need to be. If something's missing. It could also mean focus. It could mean you don't sleep well. Your testosterone levels can also affect you when it comes to your sex drive. It could be ED. It could be your stamina. It could be a lot of things. So why not get your testosterone levels checked? And Dr. Kent Petty, PettyClinicLowT.com can help you do that. Get online, PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell them Smokey sent you. Get some blood work at a discounted rate. Dr. Petty will set that up for you. He'll get your blood work, look at it, see if it's too low. And if it is, he'll put you in a program to help you increase your testosterone level so you can be the high-performance man that you want to be. Every day, somebody's contacting them about trying to get their blood work to check on what is going on and is it the testosterone level. And along the way, they're going to check your PSA level, cholesterol, and much more. Dr. Kent Petty, he's been fantastic at PettyClinicLowT.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. you feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour continues. SicEm365 Radio. Jack McKenzie has joined us. Armstrong's been pretty much by himself now, stranded in the icy conditions, freezing cold, couldn't get out, but back. We got friends again. I even asked earlier this week, where the hell is everybody? And Jack, of course, came to be a part of his Robin with the SicEm365 Radio. John Machota, athletic.com, covers the Cowboys. Paul Craig and David Smoak. John, thank you for your time. The clock is ticking, obviously, has begun, although it seems like the clock with Dak and the Cowboys has been going on for about 20 years. Do you feel like we're near the end of this, or is this just going to be extended or franchise it, or we talk about it for another 10 or 12 months?
Well, yeah, if they do another franchise tag, we'll be talking about it for a while, even though as much as we talk about it, it just won't be a good sign if that's the end result. It just doesn't look good for the Cowboys if Dak Prescott, in fact, plays under a second franchise tag, because then that puts you next year at this time in the same situation, except that you aren't going to be giving him the tag for a third year because it's over $50 million. So if you want to get a long-term deal done, it's going to happen this offseason. At least that's the far most likely. And if that doesn't happen, then it doesn't look good for Dak. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop talking about it, because not only is it, the biggest Cowboys topic, but, it's one of the biggest national topics, not only in the NFL, but in all sports, just because it's the Dallas Cowboys, it's Dak Prescott. And then it's obviously fueled by the fact that you see all this quarterback movement in the league, and there are 32 teams, and there certainly are not 32 quality starting quarterbacks in the league. And so you see what some of these teams are willing to give up for elite quarterback play, and the Cowboys have a guy in their backyard that they have the rights to, and they just have to get the contract done for. And it's on an organization that really, since Jerry Jones has purchased the team in '89, which I think the anniversary is actually tomorrow of him. That would be 32 years since he bought the Cowboys, and he always gets these deals done. When that's the only part for me. While all things look like they're all in Dak's favor, and that things aren't heading in a great direction in terms of him getting a long-term deal done with the Cowboys, he has all the leverage. Because Jerry has always been able to get these deals done with the guys he's really wanted to keep, it still makes me think that as ugly as it gets, somehow, some way, Jerry's going to find a way to get this thing done.
Is he just trying to win this in the court of public opinion at this point? So it looks like he won the deal?
Paul, you'd really like to hope that that's not the case. You'd really like to hope. But I mean, with Jerry Jones, you can't 100% rule it out. And he's in a unique situation because not only is he the general manager, but he's the owner. I mean, if he pays Dak and he pays him too much and Dak doesn't improve at all, and the team maybe makes the playoffs once in the next 3-4 years under Dak's next contract, and it proves to be a bad deal, it's not like Jerry Jones is firing Jerry Jones, the GM. He's still here. If a contract doesn't get done with Dak and he ends up signing somewhere else next year at this time, and everyone's angry at the Cowboys because they're starting, I don't know, Marcus Mariota at quarterback. I'm just joking. I'm trying to think worst case scenarios. Jerry's also not firing himself. Where a move like that, like this Dak Prescott move for every other team, that's the GM's job right there, is on the line. If it works, then that person gets to keep their job. If the move, whatever they end up doing, doesn't work, you probably end up losing your job. But for the Cowboys, that won't happen. Jerry Jones will still have his job.
John, how financially tied up are they until a decision is made on Dak Prescott as far as what they could potentially do in free agency, and how much, because I know they don't have like just tons of money lying around. How much restructuring do you think we're going to see taking place?
Yeah, I think even if they get a deal done with Dak, you're going to see a lot of restructuring, whether it be, I think Amari Cooper is one of the first people you look at because he just signed that $100 million deal last offseason, and he played really well. He had one of his best years, arguably his best year. So you feel confident about him and pushing some money down the road. I know Zach Martin missed a lot of time last year, but I still feel pretty confident about him and doing a restructure with his contract. I feel the same way about Demarcus Lawrence. Where you get into some interesting situations is when you start talking about Ezekiel Elliott and Jalen Smith and Lyle Collins. Those are some of your next highest paid players. But, Lyle obviously missed all last year with the hip injury. Tyron Smith is another one that, they've restructured his contract many a times, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He only played 2 games last year. Do you really want to restructure that contract again? And then I just don't see any way they would restructure Jalen Smith. I think there's a better chance that they would actually release him than to give him a restructured contract. And then there's Ezekiel Elliott, who, he's coming off his worst statistical season. Why would you be trying to push more money, dead cap money, down the road with his contract? So there's going to be restructures. They did Lawrence. It was Lawrence, and who did they do last year? They did Lawrence, Tyron Smith, and Zach Martin. I think they're going to do at least 3 guys this year, and I think the front runners would be, Amari Cooper, Zach Martin, and Demarcus Lawrence again. I mean, that's really all they can do right now with this cap floor set at, I think it was $180 million, $185, somewhere in that neighborhood. It ain't going to be much higher than that. So they don't really have a lot of room to work with, and that obviously, that goes to having to get Dak Prescott done too, so that they can kind of lessen that cap hit for 2021.
John, if you were to put on a scale of the number 1 to 10 doesn't give me enough, but 1 to 10, the leverage that Dak has in the current scenario, 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute 100% in his favor, what would it be?
9.999.
Yep.
I mean, I almost want to say it's 10, but I guess there could be something. I don't know. It's hard to find. I hate to say it completely 10 because I just want to leave a little bit of a sliver of a window there. But no, it's all in his favor for the most part. I mean, here's the thing. I guess if you're Dak Prescott or let's say you're someone listening to the show right now, and your end goal is I want to continue being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. I'm obsessed with playing for the Cowboys. I love playing for the brand. That matters to me more than anything. Then I would say then your leverage probably gets knocked down to a 7 or an 8. But if you're willing to play hardball and you're willing to have to go to another team because you want to get top dollar, which I believe Dak Prescott is willing to do, then all the leverage is in your hand because there will be teams. There are teams every offseason that are looking for quarterbacks. And I'm not talking 2, 3, 4. I'm talking 5 to 10 teams, if not more. And that'll be the same exact case next year in free agency if Dak Prescott isn't signed. If the Cowboys were to let him go to the open market, we're like, all right, well, yeah, come back to us with your best offer. You cannot actually expect him to do that. He's going to go to whoever is not only the best offer, but the best situation for him. And here's the other thing. It's not like he's going to have to go to some dumpster fire team either. When I talk about teams needing quarterbacks and that being 5 to 10, at least 5 of them are probably in the same neighborhood of as the Cowboys, where you're probably not a Super Bowl contender, but you should be knocking on the door of the playoffs. And if everything goes right, you should be able to make a playoff run. There will be good teams interested in him. And so for that, that's why I got to put it I'll put it at least 9.
Shoot, man, imagine Dak with the Washington football team. I mean, he they got other things he got to do, but, I mean, he would upgrade them in a major way in a quick second.
Chicago's another one I think about all the time. They've just been hurting for a quarterback forever. They've been able to find defensive talent. They don't necessarily have the best playmakers, but they seem to always have a solid defense. And then here's the thing, the Chicago Bears brand isn't the Dallas Cowboys, but it's not too bad. And if he was able to win in Chicago, where they really haven't had really good quarterback play for several decades, to be the guy in Chicago, which is just such a hardcore sports city, he certainly wouldn't have to worry about any endorsements there either. So that's the one team that, to me, and I think that they would love to have him. So that's the one. And then obviously, like you said, Washington. I mean, if he really wants to stick it to the Cowboys that way, he could always go there as well. So, but here's the thing: he's going to have options. That's the biggest thing that people have to understand is that it's not like he's in this tough spot where it's like, well, if the Cowboys don't give you that money, where are you going to get it from? Oh no, there will be teams that will give him that money. There's no doubt about that.
Well, and John, I brought up this one last week on the show, just kind of spitballing. But look, the Saints right now are in a situation where Drew Brees is about to retire. Taysom Hill, he's an experiment. And then Jameis Winston is someone who's, even if he does come back, he's on a maximum 2-year deal with them to see if he can actually be a starter in the NFL. So if you're the Saints, why would you not get involved in the Dak business next year if he's on the market?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And you even go to the teams that are picking high in the draft, every year. Like, let's say this year, I don't think the Jaguars would be interested in him. I think that they're pretty dead set on Trevor Lawrence. But even the Jets at 2, any of these other teams that could use a quarterback that might be looking at Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, you would rather have Dak Prescott. While, yes, you have to pay him, but he's proven. The NFL draft has shown you that there's no guarantee that even if you take a guy number 1 overall, or 2. Look at the Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota draft. There's no guarantee that guy is going to have success. You've already seen Dak Prescott have success. And so I'm glad you bring up the Saints, because that's a good point. When I say that there'll be so many teams will be involved, it'll be a lot of obvious ones, but there will be other teams that come out of the woodwork that are willing to make a move and free up salary cap because they couldn't believe that Dak Prescott is available. Yeah. It'll be fascinating. And you know what? What are the Cowboys going to be left with? Because I don't think that they're going to go the draft route. I think Mike McCarthy hiring him was a sign that they're trying to win right now. I think they're going to try, and if they were to go in another direction from Dak, add a veteran. And what's the best case scenario there? That you have another Tom Brady type guy that doesn't get re-signed to his own organization, and then he goes to a team like Tampa Bay, or like Phillip Rivers going to the Colts. Like good luck with that, and you still have to pay that guy too. So I don't know. You just start drawing out all these scenarios. And you can get out a piece of paper and start putting them on either side of the ledger, and it just almost all of them seem to be working out for Dak Prescott. And there aren't many that look good for the Cowboys other than re-signing Dak Prescott.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate your time as always. John Machota, theathletic.com, covers the Cowboys for us, and for theathletic.com as well. We appreciate it. Love the segment with him. Coming up next, we had earlier today, had a chance to spend a good 15 minutes or so with Scott Drew. We'll have that for you again if you missed it in the first place. And one of my favorite stories is what Jerome Tang told me last week. While his team was in pause, icy conditions, the thing that Scott Drew did, he and his wife Kelly were driving around making sure that his assistants on staff had food and also helping them get hotel rooms. He was thinking about basketball, but that was the number one thing that he was all about, and that was according to Jerome Tang, and I asked Coach Drew about that, plus the win last night against Iowa State and more. SicEm365 Radio. It was a week ago yesterday when I bit into an apple and all of a sudden felt like my whole body had been plugged into an electricity outlet. It was like, oh my God, my tooth, just what happened? Well, now it's been a few days and everything seems to be really, really good. Dr. Steve Childress at Stonewood Dental told me for the first time I ever went to him for like a cleaning and a checkup and to see kind of, as a guy in my age, what are some things that need to get better. And he told me, if you ever get to a point where you're in pain, no matter what time or what day it is, you call me. I was like, okay, everybody says that. Friday night after the show, Armstrong, Paul, and Craig know this, that I was just not really feeling very good at all. So I texted him, told him what was going on. I had a tooth that was bothering me, and I just kind of survived. That night at 8:45, he met me at his office in Robinson, helped me get through the weekend, and then on Monday morning, bright and early after Sunday afternoon, I sent him a text. He said, meet me tomorrow morning at 6:45. You'll be the first person we see. And I had a root canal. And it was something that when you mention that, you kind of get shiver, right? I can't tell you about customer service anything better than that when it comes to what he does for dental service. He can do both general and cosmetic dentistry. He has done this before with soldiers. He's done this with you. He did it with me. He is amazing. Dr. Steve Childress and Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas, when he says he'll do it, he'll do it. Don't forget that the next time you have any dental pain, located in Robinson, Texas.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Baylor head basketball coach, 18-0. That's a school record. Number 2 ranked team in the country. Scott Drew on SicEm365 Radio. You said last night you thought after going through all that, winning the game, that you would sleep well. I know what you've told me happens when you don't win. What about last night? Did you fall asleep like a baby?
Well, unfortunately, here's the bad news about this time of year. You don't sleep after wins or losses. I saw the clock at 4:10, and I was like, oh, man. But you know what? I woke up with a smile because so proud of how the guys persevered and stuck with it and got the W. But obviously a lot of adrenaline and excitement. I mean, when you take 21 days away from the court, you're anxious to get back. So much better not sleeping after a win than not sleeping after a loss, though.
Mac Rhodes told us yesterday, we had him on, and he had said that Scott said, just keep your head on a swivel because you never know where things might be coming from, which direction. Is that kind of, unfortunately, even though you won the game, is that what you expected? So it's not that it made it easier, but you kind of knew that might happen, that you would struggle a little bit or quite a bit?
Well, during 3 weeks off, the one blessing is you're able to talk to a lot of coaches that go through what you're going through. And again, everybody has different reasons for pauses. Some can be contact tracing, but you're still working out guys. Others, you have a bunch of people that have COVID, which means they're in isolation. So trying to identify people that were going through what we went through. And for the most part, I think you can look at how Louisville played at North Carolina their first game back. We knew that it was going to be tough in the beginning, and one of the best advices I got was make sure you stay positive because what you're watching in the beginning is really not your team. So
yeah.
and when we're down 17, you're like, I don't remember this 3 weeks ago, you know. But thank goodness we got a veteran group and a mature group because a lot of times whenever you come back and what you remember was a great win at Texas and playing really well, and then now you're not. And if you're not mature and don't have a good player-led team, you have frustration. And now what happens? 17 points goes to 30 points, and then you're not coming back.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of go around a little bit for some things that aren't even about so much last night. I just got off the phone with Paul Mills. He's at Oral Roberts, 11-10. They played a really the second hardest non-conference schedule in America. You think about Paul Mills, you think about Coach Driscoll, Grant McCaslin, those who have come out of the Scott Drew coaching tree, and how much they helped laid the foundation. We've had A.J. Walton and Brady Heslop recently. How much do you stay in touch or watch how they progress as men and also with what else they do?
Well, that's the blessing of being part of the Baylor family. I mean, we're in communication. We're following, cheering on each other. If we ever have ideas, suggestions, things that can help, obviously we're there for each other. But that's one of the biggest things that I know that our current staff, like Coach Tang, who's been here all 18 years, we understand that we're at where we're at today because of what everyone's put in before. And it's just like climbing up a mountain. You don't get to the top. You got to go step by step. And all those guys that put in the work, they're so proud of these guys' current success and directly have influenced their success because not only what they've done before, but staying in touch with their program. So many of our guys watch games if they're overseas till 5 a.m. and then they'll text our current players. And in the summertime when they come back, those bonds are formed and they're able to pour in and help and give them advice and then help them through their journey of here and professional.
You know, I've had so many guys, and I know it's one thing that people who they play somewhere, they act like that's their program. In some cases, at alma mater, but it is to a man, player or coach or whoever, to a man about how and why and what Baylor, playing at Baylor, playing under you as a head coach or the staff, what it has really meant to them. Scott, I know people sometimes say that. These are players you can tell they mean it. What does that mean to you, that their experiences when they were there as a player and student athlete and even when they're gone are so tight?
Well, I think that's the greatest compliment your program can have. And I think for all teachers out there, if their past students ever say something positive about learning from them or being in their class or helping help form them, that's like the greatest compliment you can get. And with coaches, and when your past players come back and give back to the program and talk highly of the program, that means you've done something well. And again, our past players are the program, and they deserve deserves so much of the credit. So that's for us. We pre-COVID, vet week is like the best week of the year when our guys that are still playing come back and play against our guys, work out with the guys, and guys that aren't playing anymore come back and just hang out. And again, those relationships are irony, like you said, A.J. Walton. Well, every year before COVID, Grandpa Jack, his grandpa would come down and spend the weekend, him and his wife, and come to a couple of our games. And we're like, AJ, your grandpa comes down more games than you do. When are you coming back? He's been overseas forever playing and doing the great things over there. But, again, that's the family dynamic and relationship you love. I mean, after wins, you'll get Quincy Acey's mom will text. That was a great win. Perry Jones' mom will text. And like actually his dad texted a couple days ago even. I mean, it's more than just the players. It's their families and their love for Baylor University and the program that their sons helped build.
You won that game at Texas, and you couldn't have been playing much better. That's when it all shut down or paused. You sent text messages to a lot of players. Matt Saman put something up on his Twitter account. We had him on that same week about how you mentioned that he was there and helped, again, like so many others, build where you are today. That also means you stay in touch with them, too. And that's who you are. And you never seem to drop the ball on any of that.
Well, I know we all drop the ball on some things, but one of our greatest privileges is to help them, and greatest compliments is when they might have graduated 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they call back, and if we can help them with a job interview or a life question or a spiritual question, like those are the greatest privileges, because when you get into coaching, it's in college, it's more than just what they do on the court. I mean, at Baylor, we're so privileged to have an impact spiritually, character-wise, academic-wise, and those are things that we greatly value.
So, you win the game. There was about 6 to 10 possessions when you got within 1 or 2 and you had the ball and you couldn't quite get to tie or lead. And my concern was, okay, you take so much energy to get back to where you're close, and then, you kind of like run out of gas. What did it say, your guys, the senior leadership or not, kept grinding? Because Flagler, of course, another one of those young men that had an amazing night. But what did it say that they just showed so much resiliency?
Well, and to your coaching point right there, you've seen so many games where people exert so much energy to get back in the game. They either take the lead real quick and then they're out of gas and then lose it, or they never can get over the hump. And That was one of our big concerns going into the game, was if we didn't start out well, which I knew it was going to be tough, would you have gas in the tank to come back or finish a game? And really credit our guys as far as willing their way to victory. I mean, Mark had 15 rebounds, and I'm glad we didn't go to overtime, because I don't know if he had anything left in the tank. But like, everybody exerted and gave everything they had last night to get that done. And again, for anyone that's worked out, you take 21 days off and then try to go out and do what you were doing before, do it at that pace. I mean, it takes a lot.
Well, your chemistry. I saw the story Jeff Goodman wrote about how everyone arrived and how you compiled this roster. The fact that you have players who are homegrown coming out of high school, players who have transferred, players who have been here a long, long time. What does that say about your program, that everyone can feel comfortable in a day and age where everybody seems to have people who are walking out the door and leaving?
Well, I think first and foremost, our players deserve a lot of credit for identifying people they think fit with our program, and then recruiting them and welcoming them and mentoring them when they get here. And then the second thing is our staff has done a phenomenal job as well in recruiting, retaining, loving, and developing those that they've identified. And because of that, I mean, at the end of the day, so much is we're with guys every day, but it's limited. It's only a couple hours a day. So if you don't have players that have the right circle around them, telling them hey, listen to your coaches, do what the coaches say, be a great teammate. If you have that inner circle every day, you need to be getting more shots. You need to be playing more. You need to get these accolades. I can't believe that guy got. Now what happens is, obviously, those guys, it's hard to be successful because what you hear for 2 hours or 3 hours of the day, the next 22 hours is completely opposite. So, again, I think it's a lot of the families of our players deserve a lot of credit because they echo and reinforce what we say too.
You're on the verge of trying to clinch a Big 12 regular season championship. You play Kansas and West Virginia. Obviously, we know the history of Kansas, and we know West Virginia's right behind you. Does that make these next two games, not that if it was somebody else it's not important, but does that make it easier to kind of even get back into more of a focus after getting through last night, and now you know what's in front of you?
Well, I think the sense of urgency this time of year always is at a high because you're getting close to that finish line, and you want to finish the race that you started out. That's number one, and then number two, we have enough past players that last year we played at West Virginia on senior night, and that wasn't a good experience for us, and they remember that. So they know just how tough that place is to play. We had a great experience at Lawrence last year, and again, we were able to have that experience because of the trials and tribulations we went through those years before up there. So I know our guys will be motivated because Big 12 teams, no matter who you play, they all count as one game. But so many great players, coaches, programs, and then obviously past experiences from our guys. Definitely West Virginia and Kansas are two games that will excite them.
Scott, I asked Jerome Ting what was the most impressive thing he saw you do during this pause. And he said it was that you and Kelly, your wife Kelly, that you were making sure that staff or whoever had food, hotel rooms, that you became the servant leader that so many people expect. But you went out and delivering food and all that. I know it was across the campus as well, but that you were making sure everybody who didn't have something had something. And he didn't say anything about practice or basketball or winning the games. You just get it, don't you?
Well, I think that's a blessing you're able to do, is have an impact on people's lives, and our whole program is joy, Jesus, others, yourself, and we're all servants to each other. And when you serve, it's kind of like Christmas time. Everyone, I think, can relate. You love getting gifts, but there's nothing better than when you bought a gift and someone's really excited about it. And giving is a great opportunity and a privilege. And with the snowstorm and everything, the Baylor family really did a great job of taking care of our players and making sure that everybody had heat, electricity, got to a place that did. If they didn't, had food. And then with our staff, sometimes they always ask who motivates the motivator, and sometimes with the staff, they do such a great job taking care of the players. As the head coach, I got to make sure our staff's taken care of because they're always taking care of everyone else. And that's one of the best things about being a part of a family, is seeing everyone help each other, support each other during hard times. And if it's not once in a 100-year pandemic, then you throw in a once in a 100-year snowstorm.
Yeah.
Definitely the last 3 weeks were adventurous, weren't they?
No question about it. One more question. Last year you're 24-3. You're about to play in the tournament. You have a chance that you could do things that no one had ever done at Baylor. You're 17-0, and you're on this great run, and then here comes the pause. Have you at any time in the last, let's say, 9 to 10 months ever said, why us?
Well, again, we ask our players to control what they can control on the court, and same thing with us. I look at it, and nobody wants to have a pause, especially when you're playing your best basketball. But at the same time, the glass is half full, and what I mean by that is it's going to be tough coming back and getting back to where we were at. But when we do, hopefully it's a blessing and refresher come March, and we're able to make a deep run then. So, again, controlling what you can control and making the most out of it.
Last day.
And you know what? After 21 days of being away from basketball and watching everyone else play, it's nice. It's nice for us to be out there playing. Now, the first 15 minutes last night might not have been as nice. but the rest was good. Yeah.
So, and that's to close it out with this. So you play, you get that out of the way. Obviously, the legs, trying to get that back. It's just not something you can like go put a quarter in a machine and you get your legs back. So how do you handle between now and Saturday?
Video game.
Yeah, exactly. How do you handle? I mean, obviously today decompress and then you go back at it Thursday. You travel Friday. How important is managing whatever you can between now and Saturday in Lawrence?
Well, and that's where having a great strength coach like Charlie Melton that does a great job getting bodies right, and then working with him to make sure we're not over practicing or under practicing guys. Our trainer Dave Snyder, his thoughts and opinions, and everybody collectively working and listening to players how they feel, and you manage all of that at the same time you're going through something where normally there is no pauses in a February, so you know what to do because you've had 18 years of experience in managing bodies and knowing when to let off. When you have 3 weeks off, it's always an adventure. So I think learning from other people that probably went through what we went through earlier is important because they can offer some wisdom, and then taking that into account for what we're doing. Because sometimes you come back and you're like, hey, we got to really get after it, and then all of a sudden you tap the legs and make it tough to play because you're trying to get back in shape too quick.
Scott Drew of number 2 unbeaten Baylor, still unbeaten, with us on SicEm365 Radio. All right. I can't hear myself.
You're on.
Are we there? All right. Well, yeah. I can't hear myself. That's fine. And thanks to Scott Drew again. Thanks to David K., Baylor Men's Athletic Communications, and also Paul Mills at Oral Roberts from earlier today. It's time for the 5 at 5:55.
All right. Reasons the Cowboys shouldn't waste any more time with Dak as the deadline approaches. I mean, I guess the deadline approaches at July 15th, but March 9th is the ideal day to get it done so they don't have to worry about using the tag on him at all. Number 5, the free agency plan needs to be set. Keanu Neal, maybe he's a guy who is a safety that played for Dan Quinn. That might be somebody they could go after. I mean, it's just anybody, but you don't really know what you can do until you get Dak done. Number 4, the draft plan needs to be set. If you need to draft a quarterback, did you flip these? Yeah. Did you flip these? There's Keanu Neal. The draft plan needs to be set. If Dak is not part of your long-term future, then at number 10, you got to think about, do I draft a quarterback or do you make a move up into the top 10 to get a quarterback? Number 3, they're going to cave anyway. They're going to cave.
Yeah.
They're going to cave anyways. So why not?
Yeah, I don't know what the game of chicken is at this point. I mean, it's like John Machota said, 99.9% in favor of Dak Prescott, and you've drugged this out for going on 2 years now. So I don't know what's going to magically flip in the Cowboys' favor where it's like, oh, they're going to suddenly get in a bargain on this guy. Or
how much do you think Jerry knows he's going to sign Dak, knows Dak has the leverage, knows it's going to be what it would have been even a year ago, but he knows he's in the news all the time?
Probably 95% of it.
Yeah. Loves it.
If not more. Yeah, I mean, I don't relate to that, but I do know that he loves being talked about and loves the Cowboys in the headlines and loves the attention. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see about it makes more sense than what they've done. I mean, it makes more sense that they're doing it for as much attention as anything is the way they've gone about it.
Yeah. Number 2, you don't know who your next QB is.
Yep.
They don't know who it is. And they could know. That's the best part. Like, all the teams that know who their QB is or who their next QB is, that's a great thing. That's an awesome thing. They don't know who that is. It's definitely not a guy that's on the roster if it's not Dak. So it's not Ben DiNucci. God in heaven, no. That's not the case. And number 1, and this one's for you, Craig. So this can just end.
Thank you.
So this whole silly thing, and the reason it's going to be silly is that it ends in one of 3 ways. 1, he signs with the Cowboys, which we all believe he's going to do. 2, they create some kind of wild-ass trade that, that happens. That's the only exciting part for Cowboys fans, really. Or 3, they just have to let him walk via free agency in 2022, and they get to watch him go to Washington or New Orleans or Indy or wherever and just go play in Chicago and be good. So just let it end.
Yeah, it will be nice. The options you have if you don't re-sign him or you let him walk could be the years that they had in the early parts of the 2000s where they were in no man's land after Troy Aikman. Mm-hmm. And then they got fortunate. Everybody passed on Tony Romo. All 32 teams did multiple times, 7, 8, 9 times. They got him, fell in their lap. And then Dak didn't fall in their lap. They grabbed him, but at the same time he did. Okay. Good stuff. All right, thanks to our guests today, including Scott Drew, Paul Mills, John Machota, Vasta from the data of seedings. We're going to see a lot of that. Women play tonight against Oklahoma State as they get closer to trying to clinch their 11th. Is it 11? 11 or 12 consecutive Big 12 regular season titles. It's amazing. Craig, anything else to close it out?
No, I think that's about it.
Had a fun day today. Baylor winning last night. They play Saturday in Kansas against KU to try to win the Big 12 title outright. For Jack McKenzie and Armstrong Sims, I'm David Smoak for Paul and Craig. Have a great evening. Thank you for watching and listening to SicEm365 Radio. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.